A fly can look like a spider. A caterpillar can look like a snake. They are breeding.
Whatever it becomes, it destroys.
Peter, these are lungs.
Yesterday, it became human.
Ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We're loving it here at the Failed Blockbusters Season 3. Hello, I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Matt Garingo.
Hi, that is me.
Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing... Well, the movie we're here to talk about today is Mimic, Guillermo del Toro's Mimic, his second feature film, his English language debut, although he wouldn't refer to it as such for a long time. Before we get into why that is, Matt, what's Mimic about?
A team of scientists discover a miracle cure that stops the spread of a deadly disease, only to find 3 years later that something has gone terribly wrong. Their creation has taken on a horrifying life of its own, able to mimic and destroy its every predator. And now it threatens to wipe out an entire city unless they are stopped in time. Hashtag Harvey Weinstein.
Is that real, the hashtag?
No, I just did that.
Okay.
The rest of that was from the back of the box for Mimic.
Okay.
And also, of all people, it calls out on the back Mira Sorvino, which obviously she's the lead, and quote-unquote screen favorite Charles S. Dutton.
You know what?
from yeah, let me finish. And the two movies they cite, A Time to Kill and Alien 3.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I wish I was referred to as a screen favorite.
Yeah, he's retired now.
The fucking back of VHS box, the art of that is just lost in this day and age.
I know. I was just putting on like the Mummy Blu-ray, the Brendan Fraser Mummy one, right? And because it's a fun movie to rewatch, like casually and stuff like that. The menu for that fucking DVD alone, the Blu-ray alone is like compared to the DVD is what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
is just depressing.
No, I've been starting to buy certain movies on DVD just because I know they will look better. Like, not like the visuals of the movie obviously won't look better, but like the actual DVDs will be fun. Like,
yeah, this is what we've truly lost the art of the movie release in this last
I think
decade
you could have
plus.
just stopped at the movie. Like everything is going off the rails.
Oh no, right now the movie in general, yes, the idea of the movie for sure. But it's like even marketing got worse. Like someone tweeted recently oh man, that original Avengers trailer with that new metal music over it, man, trailers are way better now. No, fuck you, no they aren't. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Sorry, maybe that's a nice person. It's probably a teenager I'm getting mad at or something like that.
They slow down the song so it sounds really heavy.
So it sounds important.
Yeah.
What was the first movie that did that? Was it Jurassic World?
No, I remember something else doing it. Because, it was one of those where, it felt new when they did it, and then, you look back now and it's kind of cringe, being oh, well, the trailer's not as good as we remember it. But...
Yeah, well, it's like the Hans Zimmer score, It's like you hear it with the Batman trilogy and Inception, and you're like, this is fucking the best, and by the time you get to Man of Steel, you're like, all right, we heard this before, it's good, but, how much longer are we going to keep doing this? Cut 10 years later, it's like, all right, so you can tell when he cares, and maybe when he hands off the projects to his interns. Got it.
Yes. I just miss when trailers used to do that. Dun, 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 dun. Whenever they would show, a shit ton of shit happening in the movie. They all had that exact vibe.
Yeah. And, there's always repeating patterns. How many times was, the James Horner Alien theme, popping up and stuff. The dun, 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 dun. And then,
Famously,
that was, every 90s.
Made up overnight.
Yeah.
Rushing for a deadline, and him and Cameron were fighting constantly.
Yeah, I think the story is he just grabbed all the music and he was like, just fucking let me do this for a day by myself. And then he comes up with the most epic shit ever.
And then they're like, I will never work with that man again. And then Cameron's like, hey, I'm making this movie about a ship sinking. And allegedly James Horner's the one who's like, let's get a song. And that's what kind of they end up shifting the whole vibe of that movie based on the song and score.
Yeah. And, he does Avatar, one of his last movies.
Yeah.
Terrific composer. Gone too soon.
Yeah, Avatar score's good. Even
we're not. That's not what we're here to talk about. Although we are going to praise James Cameron today.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
yeah. Before we get into all that, Should we talk about when we first saw Mimic?
Yeah. Well, when did you first see Mimic? I'm assuming you saw it later than me, probably.
Significantly later.
Yeah.
Like, only a couple
Watch it.
years ago later.
Okay, so you've seen it. I was gonna say, did you see it 3 days ago?
No, 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 no. I saw it before this, but
Okay. So you just saw it a few years ago. Like, did you see? Was it the director's cut or was it the theatrical cut? Or do you not?
theatrical.
Okay.
Theatrical. Yeah.
Uh, and did you watch the director's cut for this version or?
No, I did not.
Okay. Yeah, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk about the differences because it's not that significant, from my
I would
understanding.
say it is in like weird ways that show like how much little changes can kind of add up for a movie.
Hmm.
Because I grew up with the movie Mimic. Mimic was in regular VHS rotation at my house. I loved this movie as a kid, which is that's so strange to say. Like
You
Mimic was one of
know,
my favorite movies.
it's not that strange to me. Because you're a horror kid. I came to horror late, like I've talked about before.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't have vibed with this had it been one of the first like horror movies I saw outside of Alien and shit. You
hmm
know.
yeah. Well, this was like part of that diet where like it was like this, Aliens, Jaws, Alligator, and whatever the Sci-Fi Channel was showing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of like B movies from the 50s. My dad loved those. So like that was just part of my media diet as a kid. I told you I had this weird moment where because Pan's Labyrinth, I like Guillermo del Toro is kind of an important director for me because Pan's Labyrinth is the first foreign language film I ever watched in its original language.
Mm-hmm.
Like right after that movie comes out, and I had this weird moment where like, oh, I love this movie. Who is this guy? And I look him up. I recognize him as this guy. He was interviewed in that Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments, which I used to watch all the time. And he talks a lot. He talks about his Devil's Backbone in that a lot. So I'm like, oh, I recognize that guy. And then I'm like, wait, he's directed three of my favorite movies, which at that point were Mimic, Blade 2, and Hellboy.
Oh God, yeah.
Which were three movies I just adored as a kid. Like, um, Hellboy ruled. Like, Hellboy was a big part of my life for a bit. And I love the Blade movies, obviously. I can't believe my father let me watch these movies now that I think about it.
That's pretty fucking intense. Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, they didn't frighten me. It was always the weirdest ones that really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Alligator, I'll say this. Alligator, there's a scene in it where a kid gets killed in the movie Alligator. That freaked me out as a kid. It didn't freak me out as much as the children who get murdered in this movie, but it freaked me out. So there's like that weird moment. So like I learned who Guillermo del Toro is, and I'm like, oh wow, I think this guy's like my new favorite director. And the next year I go to New York City Comic Con because he's promoting Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Yeah.
And I think I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. And I don't really like. I've seen him in interviews, but I don't really know what to expect from Guillermo del Toro. Like I'm like, well, Pan's Labyrinth is like this brilliant movie. I'm expecting like this kind of like artistic director. Also, before he comes out, they had I came in. It's one of those things. It's a lot easier to get into than Hall H at San Diego Comic Con, but their
Mm-hmm.
big hall, like you kind of just had to wait in line and see when you got in. And when I got in, was in the middle of they were promoting the movie Wanted. Remember Wanted?
I do remember Wanted.
And that director,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't need to talk about Wanted.
I thought it was
And
alright.
that director was there, and he's a Russian director, I believe. Um, and he was struggling with the English language a little bit as people were asking him questions about the movie, and he often gave answers that didn't really answer the questions through a translator that didn't seem to help things. So like that's before, and that's so I'm like, well, I know Guillermo del Toro's like a Mexican filmmaker. I wonder what this is going to be, what this panel is going to be. And they bring him out, and he's just like, "What up, motherfuckers?" And he's just like the goofiest guy, and it's like, oh, this is the best. Like, I loved it. I had so much fun, and he brought out the whole cast, obviously, and then like when they showed the trailer, they turned the lights off, and when the lights came back on, they had like a dozen guys in full monster costumes up on the stage
Oh, that's
from like
awesome.
It was the best. That was like one of the best experiences. Like I don't really go to conventions, so like I'm sure there would be better ones, but like that's the best one I think I went to for a mainstream movie, obviously.
No, that sounds awesome.
I
That
had a
that
great.
sounds fucking fantastic.
Hmm.
That is the vibe you want from like those director things for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I do love hearing like the process stuff of it. Like, I do
Mhm.
hope more people like when they do the audience Q&A, they lean more towards that than like what was your favorite, like
Yeah, yeah.
which is like fine, you're excited. I get that. I'm not angry about it. It's just there's a vibe at
Would you
audience
ever direct a
stuff.
Marvel movie?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Which, although that seems to be fading away because they can't even find a fucking cast for a Fantastic Four movie. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
would you ever direct a Star Wars?
Yeah. Hey, usually people will like play it off like as a joke or whatever. Nolan got asked that, and he was like, "Pass." So that either means like, because he is like a nerd, he would be
Yep.
genuinely interested, or he's just like, I don't have fucking time for this. I just directed Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Like,
I a guy like him, like I think it's weird. Like it's so weird now that he directed The Dark Knight, right?
hmm
Like, and I'm not like saying this like because it's weird where people are like, you could tell Nolan really respects the source material. Like that was the vibe on those movies at the
hmm
time. And now when you watch them in the context of Nolan's greater filmography, it's like, oh, he just used Batman to like do stuff he wanted to do. Like
yeah,
it's like, oh no, these are much more Christopher Nolan movies than they are Batman movies, which isn't an insult, obviously. Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
that he saw these movies as like a good jumping off point for other things.
Yeah, and it's not that he wasn't passionate about them, but
Yeah.
uh, there was the old adage, one for me, one for them, which
Hmm.
used to be possible, and
Yeah.
that's how kind of Guillermo del Toro got started too. Like maybe not right off the bat,
Hmm.
or actually, you know what? I'm willing to say like that did work out for him. It's just that his one for them was this movie,
Yeah. Well,
and it
he
seemed
is
very
so
difficult.
he is so strange where it's like, yeah, like he does Kronos, which is his Mexican independent film. The Miramax picks him up. He does Mimic. It's a disaster. We'll tell you about the production of this. He goes back, does Devil's Backbone. Off Devil's Backbone, he gets Blade 2, right? Like, so
He
that's kind
actually got Blade 2 before.
of, yeah, yeah. That definitely feels more like okay, I will do this studio film, right? Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
something.
Yeah, he
And
kept pushing it back to do Devil's Backbone, and I
yeah,
think he even says at one point, like, if you want to go take the movie from me, take the movie from me, but I need to do this first because the experience from Mimic left him so shook that he had to like kind of regain his bearings.
and Hellboy kind of accidentally becomes a hit because he kind of had to fight really hard to get Hellboy made.
hmm
Like it was one of those where like they did want Ron Perlman, and it's like, are you fucking kidding? Like he looks like Hellboy,
Yeah,
like he looks like the drawing. And then you get
yeah,
Pan's Labyrinth, which is this like monster kind of crossover hit, and then like Hellboy 2, and he kind of starts cashing in a little bit with Pacific Rim and Crimson Peak, which we both love, but also like underperformed. And he's in a weird, he's had a weird career. We'll talk more about that. We also got like the Hobbit shit in the middle of all that, and like a
I
bunch of other movies
know.
that don't get made. So
Yeah,
uh, yeah, we could talk about a lot of that. But again, like it's weird, like to think about. I was watching this movie so much and not having any idea that the same guy directed these other movies that I loved. Like I did not know that Guillermo del Toro directed Mimic, Blade 2, and Hellboy when I was like a fan of all those movies.
yeah, and basically back to back.
Yeah, like that was his run. It's kind of a good run, uh,
Yeah,
things considered.
yeah. Like if that was his peak, I'd be like, yeah, he was at least like a good action director or a horror guy.
Well, not to spoil my take on Mimic, but like I think most people would put Mimic at the bottom of their Guillermo del Toro ranking. I don't think that would be wrong to say, right?
Yeah, it's what I feel. That's what I'll
Yeah.
say right now.
But if Mimic is your worst movie, you're a pretty good director.
Yes, especially considering the fucking butcher job this movie went through with the
And
Weinsteins.
what's also funny about this is that it might be Del Toro's worst movie, and it's also easily like in the top 10 giant bug movies,
Yeah.
which I have seen basically all of those. So there's not that many good ones.
Do you
But,
prefer it to Mosquito?
oh god, can I talk about Mosquito real
We
quick?
can always talk about Mosquito.
Because I just every time I have to talk about this, Mosquito has the greatest monster movie setup of all time. And they don't ease into it too. It's like it just happens. The opening of Mosquito is a UFO crashes in the middle of a swamp in a national park, and a mosquito comes and drinks the blood of a dead alien, and that makes the mosquitoes grow gigantic. That's the setup of Mosquito, a movie that technically stars Gunnar Hansen, the original Leatherface.
Technically.
Guess how he fights the mosquitoes? Would you
With the
believe it?
machete. No.
Oh, he gets into a chainsaw fight with a bunch of mosquitoes at the end of the movie. That was a movie I think I've told this one, but I get such a kick out of it. I saw it on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was one of those where like it's not a good movie, frankly. But compared to the other stuff on the Sci-Fi Channel, it's one of the better ones.
I think we both talked about it. That's how I saw it for the first time too. And then that's kind of when I'm like, I'm in my big B movie era. Like I'm watching fucking everything. It's like, all right, I've gone through the good Godzilla films. Let me see the others.
Yeah,
and then from there, it's just
Sea Monster.
Yeah, and
the
then
bad ones.
And then like the Sci-Fi Channel is just like a safe haven for like Anaconda 5 or whatever.
Yeah, Boa versus Python too.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Will Wheaton is
beautiful.
in one of those Python movies.
I believe that. That makes a lot of sense.
I think, if I remember correctly, Wes Craven. I mean, not Wes Craven. Robert Englund is in that as like a scientist. And he's got like a pet snake that he carries with him everywhere, like a little snake. It's kind of adorable. He's kind of a John Hammond type guy, like. But there's a scene in it where Will Wheaton's girlfriend, like the giant python, comes into his girlfriend while she's taking a shower, and she freaks out and she gets away, and she's like, "Help, help!" And Will Wheaton comes around, and she's like, "What's going on, babe?" Like they try to make him look like a surfer dude or something. It's like there's this snake in the shower, and he's like, "You got me up for a snake," and then the giant snake busts through the door and fucking kills Will Wheaton.
Oh, that's awesome. That's not even anything against Will Wheaton.
Yeah, no, nothing against Will Wheaton. It's just, it's such a funny like B movie moment. I think that movie, one of the scenes that happens in it is Robert Englund sacrifices himself, like to save the day, and like before he goes, he like gives his pet snake to one of the women. He's like, "Please take care of her," and then he runs off and like blows up or something.
This is what the movies are missing.
I know. I watched so many of these. I watched one called like King Cobra. That one actually scared me. It's probably terrible. I have not seen it, but it has Pat Morita in it. He is the guy they call in who is the expert hunter. Would you believe it or not? This genetically engineered cobra that's like attacking people. And like I think it gets into a fight with the cobra at the end of the movie.
That's terrific.
Yeah, this was my childhood, and these are the better ones. Remember, like, this is, and again, Mimic in that pantheon is probably like in the top 10. Like not even just insect movies, maybe like if you want to expand it to like nature attack movies, which like bug movies kind of fall under, you know.
Yeah.
Certainly better than something like The Swarm, which is a pretty terrible movie.
I've not seen that one, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're just cutting to the chase, Mimic is a B monster movie done with A movie production.
But yeah, like everyone in this movie is way overqualified for the subject matter.
Yeah.
It oddly, honestly, I rewatched the director's cut. Movie's still pretty good. Like I'm not gonna be like it's great, but like I really liked it. And now I am probably the biggest Guillermo del Toro defender on the planet. He hasn't made a movie I disliked.
I don't know if you can take that title from me, frankly.
Well, I mean, you're probably going to be more critical of Mimic than me, so I think that's where I beat you. But also, you defend everything, so your endorsement doesn't matter.
Oh, well, not everything. Before recording, I sent you a text about a recent movie I saw.
Yeah, Diego's all like lukewarm on Oppenheimer because he's a fucking psychopath.
No, Oppenheimer, I think, is like an objectively great film.
Yeah, Diego's like, yeah, but where's the fucking whatever that fucking dumb line is? I ordered whatever.
Yeah, Oppenheimer never ordered his hot sauce an hour ago.
Yeah.
I thought people were fucking joking about like the superhero suit up scene.
Mm.
I laughed so fucking hard.
No, there are moments in that.
Was...
So that's what I love about it. Nolan's
No, me too, me too.
he's like a weirdly sentimental guy. Like he loves these weird little moments. There's so many like choices in Oppenheimer that would be in a Frank Capra movie. Like
Yeah.
but it's in a movie about the guy making the nuclear bomb and
I mean,
ends
that's
with
what's
like
so good about that this, this is actually kind of related to the events of Mimic, frankly.
no, it is. It's
With
both apocalyptic films.
yeah, but in that movie, it's like you totally get one over, but like, yeah, you see why Oppenheimer or Oppie, as he's called, which I also thought was just a Twitter meme thing. No,
Mhm.
they call him Oppie in the movie.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna call him? Are you gonna say, "Hey, Oppenheimer" all the time? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. He's whatever. It's not a criticism, but so he has these moments where you understand why this dude who's kind of on the outskirts of like
mhm.
uh society, basically just like being unable to connect with people. Oh, he has this passion for theoretical physics and shit like that, and that's how he gets people's attention, and then eventually that's how he exerts like control over
He
people, and
almost
it's like,
poisons his teacher, and he doesn't know why he did that.
yeah, it's like,
It's like a metaphor for what he ends up doing.
people were like, why is that in the movie? And it's like, it's very fucking obvious. Like, I don't know why that's the problem some people have with this
I do
3 hour
think
movie.
I could see the average moviegoer because I could see you getting to the end of the movie and being like, "That was intense," and then you're like, "Wait, why did he try to poison his teacher?" Like you almost forget it happens
Yeah.
at a point if you're like kind of an average moviegoer, but because so much shit happens in that movie. But yeah, but I think it's Nolan's best. So we definitely disagree there.
Hmm.
One thing it really captures, I think this is hard to understand if you haven't read the book, is how much the scientific community just like they understood what they were doing, but no one bothered to stop to have that conversation while they were building the bomb. Like, which is kind of what the whole vibe of the movie is. Like, that's why the movie feels like a 3 hour trailer
Yeah.
because it's no one stopping to really consider what they're doing. Like, they're all kind of like, wait, like, let's just do it. And then when it's done, this is the most brutal shot in that movie is them just putting two bombs on in crates and driving off with them.
Hmm.
Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Movie's really good.
And the fucking
Just so
military suits.
I'm not joking. That is just the ending shot of that movie is just what it's like in my brain 24/7.
No, it definitely has a vibe of the apocalypse, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's if I wasn't worried about nuclear Armageddon before, which I was, it's definitely the thought hasn't left my mind, and the movie hasn't left my mind. I'm
Yeah.
I'm obviously pro Oppenheimer, so everyone put the pitchforks down. Just
But there's no temporal pincer movement.
there is no temporal pin. Well, actually, there might be.
Listen, shut the
I
fuck up.
no
Shut
no. Oppenheimer does a
No,
temporal pincer
I know,
movement
I know,
on
I know.
Strauss.
I know what you're saying. You fucking piece of shit.
Anyways, it's related to Mimic because it's also about scientists that don't stop to think about the consequences of their actions.
Well, at least in this case, it comes from a noble place initially.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad you said that. Just not to talk more about Oppenheimer, because I think some people are under the misconception that the movie is pro the events of the film.
yeah, the movie thinks the bomb is fine and cool.
Yeah, and I think what fucks it up is someone like Matt Damon, when he was asked about like should they drop the bomb in an interview, he's like, well, he doesn't really give a very like a straightforward answer. He's given the liberal fucking like,
Yeah.
well, it's like it did end the war or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's
To
like
be
that's
fair,
not.
that don't ask the actors that question.
Yeah,
It's
actors are great. They're
it
not.
is one
They're
of
not
the
the
most
directors.
controversial things on the face of the earth. I think Americans just don't realize how controversial it is around the world. Like
100%. Yeah.
Americans just like, what do you mean it ended the war? Like we don't think about it beyond that.
Yeah.
So
Look,
I think that's part of the problem.
the
But
movie ends with the globe on fire.
yeah,
I don't know what else to take
wonder how
away
the
from
movie
that.
feels about the atomic bomb.
Hmm.
Wonder what's going on here.
See, that's what Mimic needed. It needed to end with the world becoming a giant bug.
Hey, did you ever see Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner?
No.
That movie is great. It's about like they find this like new, like I don't know what you would call it. They find like a nest of this new breed of spiders that's like insanely poisonous, and they decide to like, well, let's kill them all, and they try burning them, but then it just pisses the spiders off. It's like, so the spiders start attacking this town, and the movie it kind of turns into a bit of a like it's a little bit like Signs. I wouldn't be shocked if Shyamalan saw it, because the ending of the movie is them like trapped in a hotel where they're trying to make sure the spiders can't get in. And it's William Shatner is like, we got to do something about these spiders. Like, but
We
uh,
have to do something about
yeah,
these
he's great.
spiders.
The ending shot of the movie is this amazing shot where like they wake up and they're like, it should be daytime. Why can't like what's going on? And Shatner like pulls one of the boards out of the window and looks, and the entire town is just covered in a giant web. And that's the final shot of that movie.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is also do you know what the original ending of The Birds was? Have you ever heard this? This is all on top.
No, actually. No.
So The Birds has like that weird ending where they just kind of drive off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they shot, I don't know how much of this they shot, but you can find some footage that there was more where they drive into town. And all the birds are just kind of sitting there, like they aren't attacking, because like they established at that point that the birds will like get into these weird patterns where they will like flock and then they will stop attacking, and they will flock and stop attacking every time they get bigger. And so they're driving through the town, and all the birds are just motionless, and they see like dead bodies all through town. They finally they just drive through quietly, and they manage, like, it's suspenseful, like, are these birds going to attack? And they get out and they finally drive, and they take that road back to San Francisco. And the final shot of the movie is going to be them coming over the hill, and the Golden Gate Bridge is just going to be covered in birds. That was the original ending of The Birds.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It sounds awesome. I don't know why he didn't do it. Maybe he thought it would be too much, because that kind of is the first real nature attacks movie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in that movie. It's kind of funny thing about that, where like Hitchcock hits on it so well from the get go. Where like there's that whole scene where they're in the diner and there's the bird expert,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, birds don't flock together. Like, she thinks her story's like, she's like, and then like, well, they have been. She's like, well, if that's true, like, we're fucked. Like, there's like a million times more birds than there are humans. Like, it's like we wouldn't stand a chance. But she's talking about like theoretically, and it adds this weird. And there's a guy in the bar in that scene, being the drunk, is like, it's the end of the world. Like, it's funny that he hits upon that like apocalyptic nature terror so early, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And that was my first Hitchcock.
yeah, it's a lot of people's first Hitchcock. That movie's scary. That's the scene with the guy with his eyes pecked out. That really freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah, it's a little intense.
But it feels like nature apocalypse like gets more and more relevant as we go along, as we start to understand our relationship with nature. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like now it's crazy to think that he hit on that nature attack stories are ultimately apocalyptic type stories. You know, like that early. So. Not to have a hot take that Hitchcock was a pretty smart guy. But...
Yeah. A weird guy, but a smart guy.
No, 100% a weird guy, but a smart guy. Yeah, Tippi Hedren is glad he's dead. So
Yeah.
that's all we have to say about that. She did a terrible sequel called The Birds 2 just to spite Alfred Hitchcock.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, she basically spent the rest of her life just shit talking Alfred Hitchcock, which it was 100% entitled to, frankly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That is that. Have you ever seen the trailer for The Birds?
No.
Oh God, you've seen the Psycho one though, right?
Oh yeah.
Where it's him touring. It's kind of similar to that, where it's like, "Good evening, I am Alfred Hitchcock here to talk to you about my new film, The Birds." And he's in this room, and he's like, "I would like to tell you about the important history of birds." And the joke is he's going around being like, look at this hat where we've plucked feathers out and put that, like it's all like the horrible shit humans do to birds.
Yeah.
Like, he sits down for like a turkey dinner at one point, like in the middle of the trailer, and then he's like, now let me go feed my little bird friend. And the bird like pecks him. And he's like, why would he do that? And then you start hearing the birds swarming, and he grabs a gun. Like, it's great.
See, that's what Guillermo del Toro should have done for this movie.
Del Toro 100% could be that guy. Like, he could totally come out, because he's just like a big-looking Mexican dude with funny glasses.
Did you see Cabinet of Curiosities yet?
I have not. I've been meaning to. Like,
okay, what you just said just like reminded me of that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He's like
does
kind of
the fucking. Yeah, he's the host. He's the fucking Rod Serling.
I should watch that then. That'll be probably my favorite thing ever.
Yeah,
So
I'll be honest. Half of them are like, okay, you can see the
yeah,
talent there,
his
and
his
then the other
television
half are
work,
like, these are some of the best fucking short films ever.
his television work is a little spottier, like, but
You didn't
not like.
like The Strain?
I thought it was okay, honestly, but I like the book a little more, so I read those books. Because I guess it's one of those where like it's easier to imagine it than like to watch it. Like people
Well,
riffing on Del Toro when he has to kind of collaborate for television, it doesn't always turn out as well as just straight Del Toro. And to be fair, as someone who loves Del Toro, he can go a little far sometimes, even for me. But I love it, so like I don't complain. But I can see why the average person didn't really connect with Nightmare Alley. Let's just say.
you know, that one's actually kind of a shocker to me. People told me it was like boring before I saw it, and then I watch it and I'm like, this is just like a normal drama.
Well, to call it boring is just wrong. But
Yeah,
like it really goes in on like Del Toro isms of like why does everyone live in an Art Deco building? Like why is everyone live like this?
yeah, like every aspect of the design is like based around theme, and like that's the shit I love. Like I love
Yeah,
stuff based primarily on theme. So like I don't have hangups with the plot if it makes like if it's a little iffy. I'm like, no, it's connected to this because of X, Y, and Z, which informs the characters X, Y, and Z, whatever motivation, whatever. And other people are like, it's a little much.
yeah,
I love it, you
that's
know.
what like I get it. For some people, it's just a little much. That's what it comes down to,
Hmm.
right? Like, and
Yeah,
just for me, I just love it. So
yeah. I
I
mean,
can't.
I just want to mention like there's one set piece in the carnival where it looks like it's like he's in a beating a heart, and it's
Yeah,
like, guess what that's about, you
what's
know?
going on here?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is the fucking best. Like I thought that was one of the best movies that year.
Yeah. To be fair, like I also think a lot of people really love the black and white version of Nightmare Alley from like
I still want to
47.
see that. I haven't seen that yet.
It's really good. The problem is because of the era it's made in, they kind of have to chicken out with the ending. Like they can't do the same ending, which is like
Oh,
that's the
I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Yeah, the original one. No. I meant like the black and white version. Del Toro ended up doing like for his new version. Like he did a black and white edit and
Oh no,
released it.
no, I'm talking about I was talking about the
Yeah.
47
Oh,
version.
okay. Yeah. No. They do chicken out with the ending because of the Hays Code and shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you just that's it's one of the fucking darkest endings ever. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't not really blame them.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
yeah,
I want to say like one last thing about Del Toro himself before we talk a little bit more about the movie.
mm,
Um, uh, I think it's really interesting that there are lots of people who just don't respond to his stuff. They don't think he's that qualified of a director or an artist. But no one dislikes the man. Like even
yeah,
like the biggest like film like Twitter critics against Del Toro are like, no, he should like do a podcast about movies. Like he should run TCM or something because no one loves movies like this
well, did
guy.
you hear that? Or I think it's something inside Llewyn Davis Criterion where he sits down with the Coen brothers
Oh
and
my god.
they have a conversation, and it's like it's on YouTube. I think you can scroll into the comments, and the funniest thing is people are being like, "It's like this is like scientists discussing nuclear fission," like because they get like really in depth. And it's like this is one of the best interviews ever. Like I don't know if he ever did. He talked about he talked about he was like because Shape of Water was kind of a difficult production because of the low budget of it all,
Mhm.
and he's Del Toro does have a reputation of being a bit of a tough cookie as a director, not like asshole, but just like he's very demanding with what he wants.
Mhm.
And I think it was a stressor for all. And he was, when doing the press tour for Shape of Water, he says like, "I'm taking the next few years off. I want to like do interviews with directors I love." And I know he mentioned Michael Mann as being
Mhm.
directors you want to talk to. I don't know. Did that ever happen?
As
Um,
far as I know, no. Because then he takes that year off, and then he's gonna go back into production for Nightmare Alley,
mhm.
which was also a nightmare to like have like to take off from the ground. You
Yeah,
know, it's like everyone's like, "All right, go make it," and they're like, "Well, I need this, this, and this," and it's like it. No one funded a drama at that point. I think people are about to start funding dramas again because they're going to be
yeah.
cheaper. But like
Well,
right then,
look, it's one thing to not fund a drama film that doesn't have like gigantic set pieces you can put in the trailer, right?
hmm
It's another thing to do a drama as your follow up to The Shape of Water. It's an even other thing to do a movie that fucking dark. Like, That's 100% Del Toro. Just something that like rarely happens, where Del Toro's like, "All right, I won Best Picture. I made a shit ton of money in Shape of Water. Let me do anything," and they let him. Like
Hmm.
he still had to fight for it, but he basically got what he wanted,
Yeah.
and I cannot complain.
Yeah.
I love that shit. Um,
Yeah.
but this
Mimic
is
is no
first.
Nightmare Alley.
This is yeah. This is Mimic. This is his first American outing, which is kind of crazy, and it almost his last if
Yeah.
certain people had their way.
Yeah.
Um, so this has been a favorite of mine for a while for just what it is. Like I said, B movie with A movie talent, like which is truly all I ever want in the world. Like it really is 100% like the type of movie I want to see. Um, Based on a short story by Donald A. Wollheim. Did you know this originally started as a short film?
I did not.
So this is weird. They were gonna do this thing where there was gonna be like a feature length film made up of three short films, and I think the idea was a different director would do each short. Del Toro was gonna do Mimic, and the other two, there was one called Imposter, which is based on a Philip K. Dick story, and the other was a movie called Alien Love Triangle, which was a short film that Danny Boyle shot in '99. It was screened once in 2008 and is basically not available at all. So there's a Danny Boyle short Alien film out there that you cannot see.
Which
And the
also
other two,
stars Kenneth Branagh, I have to
yeah,
mention. That's fucking
uh,
absurd.
yeah. And the Philip K. Dick story also got made into a feature length film. I've never actually seen that one. And then I don't know how that happened. That seems like the opposite of what Hollywood usually does. But
Yeah.
they must have felt hot on this setup, or maybe Del Toro just like gave a really good pitch, because the short story is very different than this. It's not about there's basically no explanation as to anything. It's just this like really like fastball down the middle short story about a guy kind of wandering the streets of New York, um, like following someone in like a big overcoat that they remember seeing. And I think they follow him into a church, and when they get into the church, they realize the person is a giant bug, and that they were mimicking them, right? Like that is the short story.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a classic like short horror tale. I remember it being pretty good. And Del Toro like used that as a springboard to tell you, like you can see the elements that carried over,
No,
right?
like the outline of the bugs, it looks like a man in a
Yeah,
top hat. You know.
Overcoat Slim. That's what they
Yeah.
call him, which is a pretty good name. But that's the jumping off point. He writes this movie with Matthew Robinson, who will later team up with him on Crimson Peak, as well as the Don't Be Afraid of the Dark movie that he produced. Oh, and Pinocchio. I forgot he did the story for Pinocchio too. Um, and they also work on the unadapted Mountains of Madness screenplay, I believe.
At
Uh,
least one version of it, right?
yeah,
If
at
not
least
all
one.
of them.
Are
Yeah.
you familiar with Matthew Robinson?
Not really. No, just his collaborations with Del Toro. Well, I
So
mean,
he's like,
like he obviously, I know what you're about to get into. I know the big thing that
yeah.
we all
Well,
love about him.
he's also famously uncredited screenwriter on a lot of movies, right,
Hmm.
including THX. It's weird. George Lucas doesn't give credits to his collaborators that often. I wonder what that's about. Anyway,
Mm.
uh,
Oh, George.
yeah, look up Gloria Katz, people.
Oh.
Anyway, he also directed one of my all-time favorite movies, Dragon Slayer. I should have said Corvette Summer. That would have been funnier. But Corvette Summer, starring Mark Hamill, his follow-up to Star Wars.
Ooh.
Dragon Slayer. Have you seen Dragon Slayer? We've
I've
talked about
not
Dragon
seen
Slayer.
Dragon Slayer.
We gotta do Dragon Slayer for next year for
Yeah,
failed
for the
block.
failed award contenders, right?
No,
Yeah,
Blockbusters.
I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
it should have won Best Picture. Honestly, easily top five fantasy films of the '80s. A decade stacked with fantasy films, like fucking Willow, eat a dick, like Dragon Slayer.
Oh, leave Willow alone.
Yeah, but you know I'm right. Even though you haven't seen Dragon
I
Slayer,
don't know you're right.
you know I'm right. You've
I
seen
don't.
Willow.
I don't. We also have to shout out Matthew
Shit,
Robinson's like
my
most well known stuff, like Sugarland Express. He was a writer on that. Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Jaws. he
Yeah,
worked on in some capacity.
everyone worked on Jaws.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
microphone just fell over, so you might hear me fiddling with it. So be sure to cut that out.
All right. I mean, I can't hear
Although
it right now,
you're
so
not gonna, because every time I tell you to cut sound out and I re-listen to the episode, it's still in.
no. Sometimes it's gone.
Oh, it looks like he wrote the script for Ray Gun as well, which is the Brad Bird movie that didn't get adapted, but might be getting adapted right now.
Huh.
It's like a noir, like sci-fi, like retro punk type story. It was the one he almost did instead of Iron Giant. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it's getting made, but I think the catch 22 of that is that fucking Lasseter is producing it.
Oh, come on, Brad
Y-
Bird. What the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah. Bird's a weird guy. Yeah,
That's a genuine bummer.
yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Bird, bird's a little weird. You ever see that Iron Giant documentary
No.
that
Oh
came with the
god.
collector's edition DVD? It's pretty good. It's like it gives, but like clearly they got his approval for it. But there's audio in it of just like him like yelling at the producers, like just like full on like scream yelling at them, like being like you're fucking this whole thing up. Like because that movie, the production of that movie was a little intense.
Hmm.
So, but like he clearly gave him like permission to do it because he's interviewed in the documentary. But yeah, Brad Bird, uh, interesting.
I mean, hey, not to defend the guy, I'm immediately questioning after hearing him like I was getting his new movie made. If you're
Mhm,
gonna yell at anyone on set, don't. By the way,
yeah,
but if you are, the producers are probably the ones you're gonna have the most
yeah.
like everyone will be understanding of why that is. That's all I'll say. Especially in a movie like Mimic.
Mhm. I just checked Brad Bird's Wikipedia because I wanted to look up like what he's directed again. And it's like he kind of had an unimpeachable run until Tomorrowland, which is divisive with some people, and Incredibles 2 is also kind of divisive. But I also saw this quote because um, his personal life. It said, upon criticism that The Incredibles exhibited a right-wing bias, uh, Burr demurred, noting, "I'm definitely a centrist and feel both parties can be absurd," which means he's definitely a little right-wing.
Yeah.
Their centrists are all right-wing. So,
Yeah.
although to be fair, I think the theme that people mistake for a libertarian bias in his work is just him being like, why will people not let me do what I want to do? Like
Yeah.
that seems to be the real vibe. Like
That's what it really comes down to for sure.
I don't think he has a greater political agenda beyond that. I think he's like,
Hmm.
look, I obviously know what I'm doing. You people should let me do what I can do. Like
Yeah.
that seems to be
And
the
having
recur.
not seen Tomorrowland, I kind of agree with his statement
Well,
in terms of like the art.
that's what's funny is that like he kind of could get away with that argument, like Iron Man to Mission Impossible, like because those are like all. I mean, Iron Giant
I
to
was
Mission.
about to say, like, did he catch that?
No, I slipped. But yeah, it's one of those things where like you could pick Iron Giant, Incredibles, Ratatouille, and say that's your favorite, and I couldn't disagree with you. Those are all great movies. Um, it gets a little more divisive after that. So, and I know people defend Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland at least looks really good. Uh, he
How's
passed on
the
to
action?
the action.
Yeah, because that's kind of like his bread and butter. Like, and people
Um,
have hangups with Incredibles too. The action is like the best of the decade, maybe in
I
terms
think
of like superhero stuff.
I think the action is a little mixed in Tomorrowland, mainly because I don't think it was written as an action movie. And I think Damon
Hmm.
Lindelof had different interests that Brad Bird then tried to kind of uh, change it a little bit. There's more because like when the action happens in that movie, I've only saw it like once, so maybe I would rewatch it, like connect with it more. Um, but like here's the thing, the thing that I make this point, the thing that pissed me off about Tomorrowland is that we only get glimpses of Tomorrowland in the movie, right? Like, and
Sure,
what?
sure.
Have you seen?
I
You haven't seen
no, I
it,
haven't
right?
seen it.
Yeah.
No.
This is. I'm just gonna spoil it just so you're not disappointed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
like, uh, you only get glimpses of Tomorrowland. It's like come to Tomorrowland, everyone, see what it's like, and all that stuff looks incredible. Like there's a whole sequence where the girl walks through. Tomorrowland is like all excited, like all the technologies, like people jumping around on shit. There's like jetpacks. That stuff looks amazing. And then the movie's like, all right, now back to farmland. And then the movie's like,
Oh.
and then the theme of the movie is that no one wants to go to Tomorrowland. It's like everyone's so obsessed with like grim and dark futures. What about a positive future where things are fine? And then it's like no one wants that anymore. And I'm there. It's 2015. I bought a ticket and I'm sitting in the theater for a movie called Tomorrowland. And I'm being scolded at by this movie for not wanting Tomorrowland. And I'm like, dude, I'm here.
Maybe that's the end result of Brad Bird's, like, just let me do what I want. No one's letting me do what I want, you know? A statement like that makes a lot more sense now.
It's that, and it's his kind of movie about like global warming a little bit. Like, to being like, why are we all being so defeatist about global warming? Let's be positive about this shit. Let's fix it. Like that seems to be his answer to global warming.
You know, let's all just get along.
It's the power of positive thinking, right? Like,
yeah, we got to start being pro global warming.
No, that's not what it's.
No.
But it's very much a like, if you don't imagine a better future, you can't make one. Like that's kind of the theme of it.
Which is a good theme to have.
It is, and it's honestly there's a lot of great ideas. The movie itself just never like again like I was so there for the fucking Tomorrowland of it all, and then to be like scolded at for most of the movie, I was like, all right. Also, there is a plot element of that movie that if the movie was released today, it would start a riot in 17 states.
I think I actually know what it is. It's about
Remember that one?
I heard about it because people were fucking weirded out by it when it happened.
It was a little weird. I think it's because it's George Clooney. That was the mistake. Like George Clooney, like famously at the time, he finally had settled down, but like he was famously dated a lot of people. Yeah. And then to have a little girl robot who can't age, not be his love interest, but be like they were best friends at one point, and like they clearly drifted apart when he realized he was getting older and she was going to stay the same. It gives a weird vibe, but you know, hey, so
at least it wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio in the role.
Oh no,
that would have broken the movie. No one would ever watch that again, and they would all claim to hate it from the start.
Yeah,
and they'd probably be right to do so if that was the case.
Never know.
Yeah.
Back to Mimic and Matthew Robinson.
Back to Mimic. Yeah, go ahead with Matthew.
No, I just want to say we got to do Dragon Slayer.
Okay.
Days. That's mainly it. I love that. Dragon Slayer rules.
All right. Like, there's someone I have to... Oh, here, you go ahead.
I don't know why that one bombed. I guess it's just that it was put out by Disney. Maybe Disney didn't know what to do with it. Like, that's that weird era where Disney's like, we got to reach more adults. And then they just don't know how to market those movies. So, you know, like Black Hole and shit, or Tron.
Yeah. Do you like Black Hole?
Great looking movie. Not really a good movie though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. You're absolutely correct. It's not very good, but like, hey,
but it isn't like
future failed blockbuster maybe.
Yeah, we could totally do it. But it is one of those like there's no other fucking movie like this.
Yeah, that's why I really appreciate it. You know,
Slim Pickens voices a little robot.
But speaking of collaborations with Guillermo del Toro, which we talked about 10 minutes ago at this point, but I'm going to circle around back to it. This is the first collaboration he has with Dan Laustsen, who's like his go-to cinematographer now. Yeah. For people that don't know, he's the guy who shot the John Wick sequels.
Hell yeah.
Nightmare Alley, Shape of Water, Crimson Peak, the Silent Hill movie that I really love. He's a terrific cinematographer. He's one of the best working today.
His upcoming movie.
He is?
Something called The Gorge.
What the fuck?
That's gonna be bad. Fuck.
Is it? Oh, it stars Miles Teller.
Well, no, it's not just that. Miles Teller can at least be a good actor, but I hate the term romantic action film. At least it doesn't say romantic action comedy, right? Like, I think that's the worst genre of film right now. Because we don't get rom-coms, we don't get romance movies. The only movies where we get romance in them are movies where people are shooting guns the whole time. And it fucking sucks.
Yeah, only John Woo can do that, like, constantly and make it, like, engaging to watch.
Yeah.
People can do that, but it's like, you know, just it's fine to pick a lane.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's just like the lamest version of it, and we just get like repeats of it over and over and over again.
I mean, I don't completely agree with this guy's statement, but Adam Devine, he just kind of got flamed on social media for saying like Marvel kind of killed the comedies at the studio level,
Mhm.
and I don't completely agree with that. There is a point there in
Yeah,
that people kind of assimilated like every genre with those movies because they promoted themselves as such. It's like
yeah.
you want to watch this type of movie, you can watch Captain America. You want to watch this type of movie, you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever, right? So I don't think he's entirely right, but I
Mhm.
do think there is something to the
Yeah.
idea of like the homogenous brand stuff kind of sucking the
No,
life
no,
out
I
of this
think
stuff.
it's why it's a mistake to look at those movies and be like, well, superhero movies are the problem. Like it really isn't superhero movies. It's this weird genre sludge type movies,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like that I would include stuff like even movies I like the Fast and Furious movies or like the Transformers movies, like in that same vein as Marvel, where like they kind of are just everything for some reason. And I think that's a little yeah, it's like what studios want this perfect movie that will just make endless money and appeal to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't really exist.
Yeah, which is why they put their faith in algorithms because they're like, well, people are expensive, which is also why because this is a film of the '90s mimic. There's that big script like spec script boom in the
Yeah.
'90s because like all we can develop all these new exciting properties or new exciting stories, and now it's like, well, why spend money on spec scripts if we have this IP in our closet?
Yeah. And
We
now
can
we
do
can get a
that.
computer to just generate spec scripts and then hire
Yeah,
people to rewrite them.
yeah, which is why they can't fucking budge on that in the guild discussions, and it doesn't look like they are. So props to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Please, do, really, they cannot budge on the AI thing. Like that will be massively detrimental. But also, I also like at some point, like regulation will probably step in,
Hmm.
but it'll probably be after some like disastrous thing happens. But it will happen.
Yeah,
Um, so, um, burn in hell, Zaslav. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. Suck my dick, Bob
you know
Iger.
what?
But mimic.
Speaking of this being in the '90s, you know what's aged the worst about this movie?
I don't know, but you're gonna tell me.
The idea that there would be this quick a response to a pandemic.
Oh, yeah,
Like literally the only kind of like you can understand it's like yeah this thing's like it's killing children and like they're all like that's it's an insanely dark opening with the Strickland's disease sequence. Even the credits are grim. Like
yeah.
and it's like it's the one kind of noble thing they do where they're like all right we're going to genetically engineer this Judas breed to go in and wipe out these cockroaches that are spreading the illness. And it's it's better than like the Jurassic Park thing, even where Jurassic Park was just made to do like a theme park,
Hmm.
Like this is like we are trying to stop a disease, and it's like the one noble thing really in the movie, and it's the least likely thing to happen now. So I guess we don't have to worry about the bug apocalypse. Isn't
Yeah.
Jurassic World 3 about genetically engineered bugs?
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And you know
Yeah.
what? Everyone said they shortchanged the dinosaurs in that movie. The bugs aren't in it that much either. People also overhype the bugs. They're in it about as
So
much as the dinosaurs.
so what's in it?
Uh, mistakes.
All right.
It's real fucking bad.
Yeah.
It might be better than Jurassic World, but it's that's like, do I want to die by cyanide or do I want someone to stab me in the heart?
Yeah, I guess. Well, cyanide's supposed to be pretty rough, though.
Okay, maybe cyanide or getting shot in the stomach.
Like a lot of people, those are both bad. I don't know
Yeah.
which. All right, but I think there was one where it's like, yes, they're both bad, but one would obviously be better. I don't think getting shot in the stomach is obviously better than cyanide.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's my point. It's like if I had to choose, I don't know.
All right, that's why Hitler, when he bit down on the cyanide capsule, he also shot himself because he was too much of a coward to risk the pain he might be left in. So
What a bitch.
yeah. Did we ever talk about Rudolf Hess, the last man in prison?
No. What does it have to do with giant bugs, though?
It doesn't, but I love telling this story because he was a Nazi leader who got captured like a year into the war, and he was in prison for like the most of the war. And then when uh, they did the Nuremberg trials afterwards, he was sentenced to life in prison. He didn't get executed,
Hmm.
and they basically built a prison for all the Nazis, and all of them died except him, and he spent like the last 20 years there by himself. And neo-Nazis like argued that he should be released, but I read a great quote where it was like, his advocates conveniently left out that he remained a virulent anti-Semite till the day he died. He lived to be 93. But don't worry, the story has a happy ending, Diego.
How so?
At age 93, he hung himself in prison.
Awesome.
That's how all Nazis should go out, frankly.
At the very least, even that feels a little too
He
good.
hung him that long, alone in prison, and then still killed himself. What a piece of shit.
Yeah, at the very least, that's what should happen to all Nazis. At the
Yeah.
very least.
It's a bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That should be the qualifier.
here's something. I just got, like, I'm against the death penalty. I don't believe in executing even the worst of us. But Nazis, we should throw them in prisons, and we should give them a rope. And it's like, we're not going to tell them what to do, but like they can use it if they need it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let them have it. So, and, maybe make it a group activity. Team building exercises. Show us how far you're willing to go for the cause.
Or give them to the Judas breed.
Hey, yeah, we should make a Judas breed and unleash it on neo Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh no, hoist it on our own petard. Honestly, it's a pretty good setup for a monster movie. Like all monster movies have like a ridiculous premise that you just kind of have to go with, but it's not like the worst I've ever heard.
No, I think it's pretty good. Like, here's the thing. I have not given my full opinion take on this movie. It is better than I've always given it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely is. I don't even think it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
I just don't like it that much.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm just assuming it's not your thing.
It's not. You know what? It should be. I wish it was a little more fun. I guess.
That's where I strongly disagree.
Oh, you like that it's just fucking miserable?
Well, you did watch the theatrical cuts, which is a weird, like, kind of like half in, half out with its grimness.
Uh-huh.
This movie is an apocalypse film. Like,
yes.
That's what the director's cut, even with slight changes, really goes in on that angle of being like apocalyptic. Like, it's not a monster movie. It honestly is a lot closer to something like Prince of Darkness than it is to like a bug movie. There's this overwhelming feeling of dread, especially in the director's cut, that like the human race might be on its way out. That like we've fucked up the world enough that we treat each other so terribly. I mean, like the opening of this movie I don't know how much, I know it's downplayed a little more in the theatrical cut, but
like it's still there for the record.
It's still there, but
that vibe is still there.
But the opening of the movie involves like human trafficking, like with like immigrants being brought into the country and like the CDC having to investigate. Like that church has like a bunch of illegal immigrants making clothing in the basements, right? Like it's a pretty dark moment in the movie. I know there's more of it in the theatrical cut. I mean, director's cut. It's weird. There's like the director's cut is interesting because like it's a lot of slight changes that like help double down on the tone. It puts a few scenes back in and extends a few, and it also takes a couple of scenes out because Robert Rodriguez did some like ghost directing on this movie because this is a Miramax joint. There's a scene in it where the one best friend of Susan Tyler, Mira Sorvino, she's like walking through an alley with her bike, I think, and she runs into a guy, and it's one of the mimic bugs, right? And she's like, "Oh, excuse me," and it's like a kind of lame like suspense sequence that was reshot. And then there's a weird one that they put in where those kids the kids that go into the subway, that they move that scene to a different part of the movie in the director's cut. But there's also more of them in the subways where they come across a bunch of homeless people. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
They think they're dead, and it's like a really lame scare. It's weird to put that in because one of the things, there's elements of it in the theatrical cut, but it's more in the director's cut. But it's weird they left any hint of it at all. Where Charles S. Dutton is like, he's pointing out all the he calls them cave drawings that the homeless leave, which again is kind of like this weird like human on like a de-evolution direction, right? As the bugs are kind of evolving.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, see, this is like homeless speak. Like they leave these symbols because they can't read or write. And he's like, yeah, there's like a huge homeless population out here, but like one day they just up and left, like no one knows what happened, implying that they were the first victims of the Judas breed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like I don't know why you would then like get rid of that. Like that's a really cool like, oh, that's what's going on type moment. It's kind of like in Nope where like there's the talk of like missing hikers and shit
Mm-hmm.
like that. And like when you finally put together what's going on, you're like, oh, I don't know why you would cut that. Like and then put a lame scare with homeless people in a sleeping bag. Like,
I think like the Weinsteins might not just have gotten what this movie was going, or what Del Toro's deal was like as an artist,
yeah,
because they're the ones who suggest like even down to like, hey, move the camera around more. And now Del Toro is known for like big sweeping wide angle stuff, right? And he's like really good at it now. And I don't think he's even bad at it with Mimic, but
yeah,
I think they just wanted to be like a more generic schlocky horror movie,
yeah,
and his love of this genre stuff is beyond just the thrills. You know, like they told him to make it scarier. It's not scary enough, which is probably why you get the Rodriguez reshoots and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Well,
I didn't know that.
he has that quote with who's the guy who did Haunting a Hill House? What's that guy's name again?
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, Mike Flynn. I knew it was Mike something. Where they talk about horror, and Del Toro's like, look, I don't really enjoy the mechanics of horror. He likes the aesthetics of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, and Mike Flanagan's like almost the opposite, you know. Like Mike Flanagan really loves the mechanics of a horror story,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and like, and it's not like it's not one is better than the other. It's just the two styles. And I think yeah, they probably watched this, and this is Miramax post Scream where they're going really in on horror, and they probably wanted something more like they wanted something more like overtly scary, and Del Toro was more interested in mood and aesthetic, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would look, you should check out the director's cut, see if you like it more. I think you might.
You know, I'm
'Cause
gonna watch it before we record next week, and I will
okay,
report back. I will gladly
okay,
do that because, like,
because
again, I don't hate this movie.
yeah,
Just it's
I think
not really my jam from
I
what I
think the
saw.
director's cut just smooths over a lot of the edges. I mean, that the theatrical cut had. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it might be worth checking out.
Yeah.
Um, and and I said like rewatching it, I really felt Prince of Darkness vibes, and I maintain that Prince of Darkness is like the first half of Prince of Darkness. There's never been like better apocalyptic dread in a horror movie than that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And to compare Mimic to that is a pretty big compliment for me. Um, but it's just I don't know, it's just so good. Like there's like in the director's cut, there's a lot of discussions about like extinction. There's a lot more of that. So I guess maybe didn't want it to be that grim. Maybe the Weinsteins wanted to pull back on that. But also there's a Del Toro. I think during one of those Hollywood roundtables tells the story of like they were shooting for like the first week, like doing like shots of the bugs, and they do they go to screen dailies. And he goes, one of the producers goes, what's going on? It looks like a giant bug. And I was like, oh no. And he
Oh
talks
my
about,
god.
yeah, and he talks about how the Judas bug was supposed to be this like beetle and almost have like when it unfurled, it almost had like this beautiful, elegant look to it. Like it had the uh the mimic disguise, right, where it looks like it's wearing a giant overcoat, but when like the wings unfurled, it looked more like a beetle, and like he had copied all these beetle looks and stuff like that. And the Weinsteins were like, "What is this? Why did they look so fruity?" Basically,
Oh god.
yeah, and like basically said like make them giant cockroaches. Like he was just like make them. Audiences don't give a fuck about beetles. Make them cockroaches. So I know that was part of the problem. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was hell working on this movie.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. It sounds like for every idea he had, he kept getting like 10 no's and one yes, and it wasn't even like a yes to satiate himself. It was a yes just to get the fucking thing done.
Mira Sorvino allegedly like tried to protect Del Toro as best she could. She's also come out and said she was sexually harassed by Harvey Weinstein, and also I think Peter Jackson said that Weinstein blocked her from any auditions for the Lord of the Rings films because he has an executive producer credit on those movies.
Mm-hmm.
So like the little power he had on them, he wielded to block her from being in it. Andre Braugher was supposed to play the male lead in this movie. I don't know if you know that. That was Del
I did
Toro's.
hear about that. Yeah.
And do you know why he wasn't chosen?
Oh, because America's not ready for a mixed interracial relationship and
Allegedly, a producer said you
whatever.
can't do that. You can't have a black man with a white woman.
So
So
fucking
the
bullshit.
1997. It's a the commentary track for the director's cut is kind of incredible because Del Toro just says that stuff out in the open. Like he's like, yeah, producer said you can't do that, and like that's crazy.
Yeah, because like I'll say the male lead in this movie, I don't remember his name. He's not bad,
He's not
but
bad, but
it's
he doesn't like set the world on fire.
no, it's sort of the Hellboy problem where it's like, okay, I like this character and I like this actor. They're clearly just there for a studio note,
Yeah.
you know.
hmm
And
And
yeah.
Andre Braugher probably would have brought more to the guy.
Oh yeah, Andre Braugher. For people that don't know, I think he's one of the best living actors. I think
No,
he's one of the best
great,
actors
and
ever.
it felt like he was getting shortchanged for a while by Hollywood. You know.
Yeah.
Like he's in Glory. He's amazing in that. He does Homicide: Life on the Street. It's weird. He finally got like a weird resurgence with Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently Del Toro's a huge fan of that show. Uh,
It's a
and
funny show. It's just weird now.
yeah, it's everything with cops is weird now, including this movie with Charles S. Dutton, even though
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
kind of a dick cop. But yeah, it's just cops are just gonna be weird from now on. Like it's just what we're gonna have to deal with. I always felt bad for Honor Brower because he does Poseidon and The Mist back to back. And in Poseidon, he's the guy who says, "No, we should stay here. It'll be safer if we stay here," and then everyone dies.
Yeah.
And in The Mist, he says, "No, we should leave. It'll be safer if we leave," and everyone dies. So he becomes that guy for a few years. He's
Yeah.
also like the asshole general in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh
Like,
yeah. If you
it,
want a truly great Andre Braugher performance, there's a show got canceled after one season, but had enough time to wrap it up. It's called Last Resort. I don't know how well it holds up. It's a Sean Ryan series, so it's like very intense, very thrilling. It's all about like the politics of this mission that's gone awry. About like nuclear armament and stuff like that, and it's fucking wild. It's like about 5 years too early
yeah,
before people started getting really into genre stuff. But Andre Braugher is basically the lead of it, and he's fucking so good
yeah.
in that show. Like, it's his best performance, I think, and only because it's the show that gave him the most to work with. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I don't know where it's available at this point. Probably Hulu or something, but he's so fucking good in it.
I can't believe we're talking about Andre Braugher who isn't even in this movie. And like, I have no offense, I have nothing to say about Jeremy Northam.
So apologies to
Apologies
Jeremy
to Jeremy Northam. On his Wikipedia page, under personal life, it says he wished he took life less seriously.
Is that it?
It says like he was married but is divorced, and then it just says he has said he took life less seriously. And here's what's the kicker.
Did he say that after the divorce?
I have no idea, but here's the kicker: the divorce part doesn't have it has a citation needed next to it. The life less seriously is linked to an article. A Guardian interview he gave in looks like 2012. So.
Oh my
God!
god!
He's big in the theater.
Okay.
He's on The Crown, apparently.
Who wasn't on The Crown at this point?
He's in Gosford Park. Everyone loves Gosford Park.
Wow, that was so fucking funny.
I feel bad for you, but he is kind of there to be the shitty boyfriend in this, though.
Yeah.
Although he does in the dumb action climax, quote unquote, sacrifice himself, but then hey, he's all right.
No, he's fine. He ignites the explosion that kills all the bugs, so he's the closest one to the explosion, but he also survives it.
Extermination is actually fine and cool.
It's just.
We'll get to the ending. I mean,
yeah.
I know we both have a lot to say about the ending.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of it, let's talk about Charles S. Dutton a little bit. It would be better if Andre Braugher was in this, so then Charles S. Dutton isn't the only black man in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, and those two like fucking facing off at
them
certain
going
points
off
too.
Would be great, but also it's just we need another black guy in this movie who isn't a cop,
Yeah.
B sings old songs when he's nervous,
Mm-hmm.
And then C sacrifices himself so the white people can live.
Yep.
I love Charles S. Dutton, but that is kind of his role. He's having a lot of fun with it. I'll give him credit. Like,
No,
although
he's terrific. Everyone knows how much I love him in Alien 3. He's another actor who never really got like the big role.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
he is kind of there to be the guy who's like, "What the fuck is that?" a lot. Like,
Yeah.
he gets to be that guy. I mean, what's he up to? I haven't seen him in a while.
He's retired.
Oh, is he retired?
Yeah, I just found that out when I was going through like the notes for this.
Okay.
Like I was
I
like,
hope
what's he been up to? And yeah, he's retired.
I hope he's enjoying retirement.
Yeah, me too.
He is one of those guys where, like, when he popped up, you're like, "Hey, it's him." Like, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's fucking. I think whenever he popped up in something, he tends to be the best
Yeah.
thing.
He has a great one-episode appearance on The Sopranos as a cop.
Yeah,
So he looks like he's wearing the same uniform from this fucking movie, frankly.
that's so fucking funny.
And where he gives Tony Soprano the ticket, and then Tony like inadvertently gets him fired by complaining. And Tony's like, it's that weird like Tony. He wants to like he doesn't want to feel guilty for his actions, but he directly benefits from them, so he doesn't know how to handle it. Like,
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah, he's fun in this where he's just like he gets to be the guy being like, "Yeah, I know all the old subways down here." Why is that a recurring? There's so many weird stereotypes for black characters in movies.
I don't know why that's.
That's
a thing.
also in Ghostbusters 2016.
I was about to fucking say.
Yeah, where the one non-scientist of the group is the black woman, and she's like, "Yeah, but I know the history of the subways." Like, I guess you need that.
Melissa McCarthy and her could have swapped roles.
Yeah, could have swapped a lot of things.
I mean, yeah, it's like.
I know that
that
movie's
movie's
like
got
that.
problems.
I know that movie's a divisive film for embarrassing reasons, but Leslie Jones is kind of the one really good note in that movie, in my opinion.
Another fucking terrific performer
Yeah.
who's just like they need.
They don't
that
know what to
great
do
role
with
too.
her.
No,
They don't know what to do with her.
I think someone should fucking just make everything for her. Give her a streaming service so she can try stuff out.
It's really the argument of why you don't just need diversity on the screen, you need diversity behind the camera. Because
Yeah.
like if it's white executives are bad at this with white actors, let alone with like people of color, where it's just like not only do they not know what to do with most women over a certain age, they definitely don't know what to do with black women. Like
Mhm.
it's just a shame. Like, Hollywood, get your shit together, man. Because it's better. Because there's so many great actors out there.
Yeah.
They get wasted. Charles S. Dutton. Charles S. Dutton shouldn't have had to do, like, we love him. He shouldn't have had to do both Alien 3 and Mimic in a supporting role.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. You should have had more.
No. But to get to the disappointing white people in the movie, well, he's not a disappointment, but Josh Brolin, his character was also supposed to be gay at one point.
Oh, well.
And is that not true?
No, I did not know that, but that does sound like a Del Toro choice.
Yeah, and then
I mean, he basically does that with Shape of Water, where like everyone's got something going on with them. Like,
yeah, but then Del Toro said like, "Oh, that died like in the pre-production meeting." Like he felt it because you were like, "Absolutely not."
No offense, but like even Del Toro, I don't want to see how he would have handled a gay character in the '90s, especially in a movie that isn't about being gay. You know, like we don't know, we don't learn anything about Josh Brolin's life really.
Yeah.
You know, my father wanted me to be a dentist, I think is this kind of big funny line. Where he's just kind of the guy to like be like, here's some more weird shit I found. Like, that's kind of his role in the movie, and then he just dies.
Yeah. I like his death scene though.
No, it's a pretty good death. Although if you want to learn get another weird glimpse into like my father's weird parenting methods. So he lets me watch this movie, right? Like
right.
In regular rotation. But when Josh Brolin dies, they didn't. I don't know if it's. I should have paid attention more, but at least on the VHS copy I have, the blood pack doesn't really come out of his mouth correctly, and it looks like black as opposed to blood. You know, and then he dies, and I don't understand how that works. I don't know how movies are made. I'm like 6, so I was like, why did that black stuff come out of him? And you know what my father says? He goes,
I'm terrified, but go ahead.
No, it's not going to be like awful Catholic shit, but it is.
Okay.
He goes, "Oh, it's because he smoked a lot of cigarettes because he did smoke in this movie." And my dad was hell bent on making sure I never started smoking. So like he's like, "Yeah, that's what happens if you smoke. Your blood turns black. It's bad." I'm like, "Oh," and I like held that with me until I was like a teenager, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So.
You know what? If I ever had kids and I wanted to stop them from smoking, I'd probably tell them the same thing.
My
Which
dad
is
was
why I'm not going to
so
be a parent.
I don't know why, like that was the one thing he was like. He was like, you can't see boobs in movies, and you can't get into smoking. Like he wouldn't even let me. You know, like when you're a kid and you get one of those pretzels and you put it up to your lips like it's a cigarette or something like that, like just being goofy. He would be like, Matt, stop! Like he would tell me to not do that. Like those were his weird hang-ups. So, hey, I never started smoking, so he did something right.
There you go. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
when I
if you
look back,
smoke, the Judas breed will get you.
yeah, he didn't do anything like that. He was never like the monsters will get you if you're a bad kid. He would just be like, motherfucker, I'll get you if you do something. Put that fear of God in me. My dad was. I don't know if you put this together yet, Diego. My dad's a bit of an intense person.
No, I picked up on that at some point.
Love him to death, but like, goddamn, he could be intense.
I just remember that one video you posted one time on Twitter, like him playing pool, and he's like, "If I don't make this, people will pay."
Yeah. I don't know what is going on in his brain sometimes, but hey, I post quotes of him where it's just it's like I know how to defeat evil, and then he doesn't follow, just stares off into the distance.
I'm gonna
The,
start saying that.
the one that like you have to imagine. So like he doesn't even look at me when he answers this, but I walk in on him and he was watching. I think he was watching Blade Runner 2049.
Oh fuck yeah!
And he like woke up one morning. Like it was one of those things where like he had woken up on the weekend and just put the movie on. Like it was the first thing he did, and he didn't even have breakfast. And I go, "Why are you watching this?" He doesn't even look at me, and he just goes, "I was hearing it in my sleep." So we don't have time to unpack all of that.
Oh shit!
Hell of a character.
That's incredible.
He's in Scotland right now at the time of our recording,
Oh, congratulations!
going to a wedding. So yeah,
Oh, they're the kilt guys, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I always wanted to go to one of those weddings.
My dad
Uh,
probably will not be wearing a kilt.
You know what? I'd fucking rock that shit. Logan and Greg, friends of the show, if you're out there and you get married in your beautiful homeland of Scotland, invite me. I will dress for the occasion.
All
I
right.
just want to put that out there. I know you listen to this, fuckers. So
I'm sorry you have to listen to me as well, whoever these people
no, they're fans. It's cool.
are. Speaking of fathers, let's talk about Manny,
Yeah,
played by what's that guy's name?
Giancarlo Giannini.
Yeah, who is he still alive? Yeah, he's still alive. He's like 80,
He's still
but he's
alive.
still alive.
Yeah. Another great character actor. I mean,
It
that's
popped up.
the fucking hat trick of this movie is like, yeah, it's whatever, like B movie shit, but it's like the fucking actors they're all fucking A-list in my
Yeah,
heart.
I would argue that's one of Del Toro's strengths is his casting.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but
totally.
he's Mathis in Casino Royale. Um, they brought him back for Quantum of Solace to make sure we know he got tortured between movies and then he dies.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
sad moment in that movie.
It is a sad moment, but
Yeah.
you didn't have to do that to the guy. He was, he was
Forgive
retired.
yourself.
They gave him
Forgive
a
her.
house to make up for torturing him.
No,
So,
it's I still defend that movie. I
Quantum of
know
Solace is
a
a
lot of
weird
people
one.
don't.
Like that's a whole other thing. He's in Man on
Yeah.
Fire.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, he's in that. I had another one I was about to bring up, and then I forgot it. Oh, he's in Hannibal as the inspector.
Mm-hmm. There
Who
it
gets thrown out
is.
the window.
I knew you were gonna come upon it, so I was like, I'm not gonna say it. Let's see if it
Where
gets there.
Anthony Hopkins, before throwing him out the window, goes, "Okie dokie, here we go," which is one of the, it is a top 10 Hannibal moment.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's the one Ridley Scott movie I like. Like,
Oh, what is that?
I don't know. That's a weird movie. It's
You know what? I get it. I see why you like both Hannibal and this movie.
yeah.
I get
Yeah, I
it.
guess there's just a weird like gothic aesthetic that I like. Which is why I can call bullshit on you when you call fucking Fallen Kingdom gothic,
It
because
is gothic.
it is fucking so far from gothic. It's maybe American gothic,
Huh.
like
No,
that pay.
American Gothic is those gas stations on flat pieces of land. Everyone knows this now.
I guess you're right.
Everyone likes that aesthetic now.
I don't know why.
I
When
think
you do, if you ever do like a long drive across this country, there is that weird thing where there are huge stretches of nothing and then a gas station. I mean, it is a weird feeling.
it is, but like as someone who used to take those long drives, like with my dad or like when my grandpa had his ranch, like
Yeah.
that vibe is very like nostalgic for me personally.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of like affinity for that. But it is just kind of nice. It's like little signs of life, even though it's a death trap. Gas stations are death traps. I hope we all understand this. They're
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah, especially like middle of nowhere ones.
Yeah.
I recommend the short story, The Late Shift. Anyway, but Giancarlo kind of leads into the one thing that like is probably like the biggest oof of this movie, which is the autistic child.
Yeah.
The cockroaches in those shoes. Feels like that's they worked that character backwards. Like they wanted some character who would be able to communicate with the like there's so much about mimicry towards the end of this movie where it's like, oh, we have to mimic their scent so that like we can do this, and it's like, oh, we can mimic their sounds. And I feel like they wanted someone who could do the thing with the clicking.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked backwards into being like, well, what if it's an autistic child? Because I don't know how else you would justify it. Not that the kid being autistic justifies it in any way, but I don't know how else you get there, you know?
No, it does feel like on the one hand, I know people think like precocious children are like annoying in movies, and like that can be the case. Mostly that is the case.
The two precocious children in this movie die horribly. So
yeah. But I think like when because I mean, fucking the Shane Black Predator does this. That potential Spielberg movie that turns into E.T. and Poltergeist was gonna do this, where it's like, oh, we'll just make the child autistic, so it's like they make them like magical.
Yeah.
Almost, and it's like
it's the archetype of like the holy fool character, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know how much people with autism would appreciate that though.
No, I am not saying
no,
that.
No, I know you were not. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a weird archetype in our culture, and I know there's no fucking way Guillermo del Toro isn't aware of that. Like that, and I bet you that's more what he was playing at. But like when filmmakers do that, they don't really think about the realities of autism, you know. And right now, autistic people like they struggle really hard with just being accepted, and then B, getting any sort of help they need, right? Which is a shame. So it's it's one of those where like I get the want to do a character like this, but to make like them so explicitly autistic, I think is the mistake. Whereas like honestly, the funny thing is, if you don't make a character autistic, but if you make them autistic coded, the autistic community fucking loves that shit. So like just like as long as you like know what you're doing and be respectful, I think you can find a better thing to do. But yeah, the weird like autism is a superpower.
Yeah, just make them like Peridot from Steven Universe.
Yeah, I guess that is the one where like just do all that. Like that's a fun show.
Yeah, people have no strong opinions about it.
People take kids' cartoons way too seriously.
I know. That's why I don't tweet about them anymore.
I spent yesterday muting like a dozen people on Blue Sky, which I just joined, because I'm like, there's no reason to have this much of an intense opinion about these things. Like, I say this as someone who but I hope people understand when I'm yelling about movies, I'm being like goofy, right?
Yeah.
I'm threatening to throw Diego off like a boat and shit. Like, I don't mean anything. Like, and I'm not really angry about movies. I'm angry about the industry, obviously, but that's like a labor issue. It's less a like movie thing. So, but some people they genuinely feel like they're like, people who enjoy this kind of art should be locked in prison, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I say people use the phrase like grimdark and hope punk. Whatever side you fall on those things, if you use those phrases unironically, You should be sent to your room without dinner,
What about
and
Grimpunk?
no Game Boy for a week. What was that? What did you ask, Diego?
What about Grimpunk?
Grim Punk. Is that where you like dress up like Grim Reapers and run around?
You know what? That would be awesome. But then
Yeah,
everyone would just look like Ghostface, and they'd fall over themselves like Ghostface.
yeah, they'd follow themselves and then they would get mistaken and like shot like in the Halloween movies with the fake Michael Myers.
Yeah, Michael. Fucking Ben Tramer just gets
And Trevor
fucking nailed.
getting run over by that car.
That is the best moment in that movie.
It is the funniest detail in that movie.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
so unnecessary.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
it's so
so like
awesome.
the autistic thing is probably the biggest oof moment of the movie.
Yeah, hands down. I mean, it ages terribly. It was bad when they did it, and it unfortunately continues to be a bit of a problem with these types of
Fucking
movies, and I don't know
fucking
why.
Norman Reedus pops up in this movie.
Yeah, before his collaboration, like what is that, 4 or 5 years later after this too?
Yeah, well, when do they do? Late two is not. Yeah, it's about 5 years. So clearly liked him. He wanted him for Silent Hills, the video game that never got made,
Yeah.
and that was like the peak of his fame with like Walking Dead. I did not realize he had married Diane Kruger.
What?
Yeah, how does a
What?
disgusting guy like that get Diane Kruger? No
I
offense,
have I have no idea. Wow, that's wild. I did not know that.
that's crazy.
I don't know. She's European, so she's probably into like guys that look like scumbags. I don't
Yeah,
know if Norman Reedus is a scumbag. In fact, I
no,
actually
he
met
is
him
not. But
once.
he has a scumbag aesthetic, which is not an insult in America. Like,
No, no. In America, it's like our vibe.
yeah, we
You
all
know?
love. So maybe that's her like idea of like dating an American.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, he's so American. He looks like he fell out of a gas station bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly his whole thing.
Guys are always so worried about like, man, I gotta be jacked. I gotta be tall, and it's like, dude, like, look at that. Like, you
No,
know,
I mean, I love the fucking takes going around. People like just disowning all the men's rights stuff, or like you gotta be like Jack, you gotta be like Andrew Tate, you gotta be, and it's like, all right there, you don't gotta be like Andrew Tate first of all, but it's like you actually like pay attention to like who people thirst after on social media, like real human beings. It's like, hey, Michael Cera looks pretty good today, you know. It's like it's not The Rock
yeah.
anymore, really, you know. It's just like, hey, just be like a decent guy.
Like
That
obviously
goes
there
like a
are
long
people
way.
like people. The lesson is look like how you want to look, right?
Yeah.
Like because like there's nothing wrong with being jacked. Some people are attracted to jacked people. It's the weird. Although those people like Andrew Tate, like they push themselves to like where they start looking weird.
Yeah, I mean, also he
Is
clearly like when he went to prison, he started looking very different.
well,
It's
yeah.
like,
There's
oh
also
yeah, you probably
like
can't get the steroids in prison. That's
yeah.
right.
There's that. They tried to lie and say he had cancer or whatever, but although does he? I hope he does. Anyway, anyway, I was gonna say that all those guys when they work out, like him and like Joe Rogan, like is there like a weird like it almost feels like we're in like a really shitty movie about like toxic masculinity because like all those guys start looking like giant penises the more they work out. Like they're bald heads and they're like super veiny. Like it's like they're trying to turn themselves into a penis
Hmm.
to assert their masculinity.
The gun is good. The
Yeah,
penis is evil.
yeah. I mean, it's I mean, have you seen Beau is Afraid yet?
No, but
Okay.
I know.
Oh, do you know
I
about the
know.
penis imagery in that
I
movie?
know. I know.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was a like, I guess we're doing this now
All right.
moment during that 3 hour movie. Check it out. People like it. Um,
What
so
if the
yeah,
Judas bugs were penis bugs instead?
I mean, there's some phallic imagery in this movie. Like, not a
Yeah.
lot, but there's some.
No.
Um, the Torch just seems to love all that shit. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but
he's clearly having a ball doing, or he probably got excited at the
mm,
prospect of doing this movie because it's like, oh, I get to do my Alien type of thing, right? Like, I
yep.
don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for him to think.
You know what? I don't know if he was thinking of Alien, but he was definitely he is he very adamant that he has a bit of a bug fetish. Like he seems to love bugs.
Mm.
I mean, that's all over his movies, right?
Yeah.
Like the first opportunity he got to make a bug movie, he took it and then regretted it. So, um, what was it? Making his second appearance on this miniseries, F. Murray Abraham,
Yeah.
It's kind of like the voice of reason type guy who you meet, and then he's like, "Well, we've changed. We've tampered with the world too much." He gives that kind of monologue in it. He inexplicably kind of shows up towards the end of the movie. I don't know why he's there, but uh, again, there's a lot of talk. There's also the fear of the role reversal in nature, where like we're on top, but there's that anxiety of like, well, what if we weren't anymore? There's a lot of
Mhm.
talk about how like where she's like, see these like worker bugs, like they will fight to the death no matter how injured they are. And then you have like F. Murray Abraham being like, the only thing a bug thinks about is like, is it going to eat me or can I eat it? Which is like that's basically what bugs think. So like the idea of that, like that sort of like becoming the norm, is a frightening thought to us, obviously.
Mhm.
Also, like there's no good deaths in this movie, you know? Like
Yeah.
every death looks horrible, including for the children. Like,
Especially for the children,
yeah, they
because
probably get the worst
you
death
don't
in the
see
movie.
like you don't see the impalements or anything like that, but
You
it's
hear
just
it
so
though.
you hear it, and the camera. I'm gonna give credit to whoever shot that, Del Toro or Rodriguez. That feels like a Del Toro thing more, in my
No, Del
opinion.
Toro
But
definitely did the kids dying. Like he just, I don't think he didn't do the scenes that are in your version where like they're wandering the subway more. I think.
okay,
Uh,
but yeah, it's fucking visceral, and he seems like the guy who kind of like got really excited that he got to kill kids in horror movies.
well, he's very open in he's like he says like he hates children characters in movies. Where he's like not in a like I hate kids. He's like I hate the kids pop movies and like they just shout one liners and shit like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
he's like I want people to know it's a dangerous world for kids. Like he was like growing up in Mexico. He's like I saw children almost killed multiple times growing up. Like he's like it's not a safe world for kids, and that's definitely a big recurring theme, especially in his earlier work. I think he's he's gotten a little away from it since, right? Like I
Well,
don't think
he just moved more into like the fantastical stuff, and
yeah
always to his credit, he understands that like kids can fucking handle this shit.
yeah.
Like
Well,
it's very rare that.
I don't know if it's necessarily that. I was not the target audience of Mimic. I just
Okay, well,
happened
no,
to
no, no.
watch
No,
it.
I should like expand that. So like not specifically mimic, just the idea that like, oh, this might be too hard for my children to watch. Like if it's not too hard for you to watch, it's probably not going to be too hard for your children to watch.
Yeah.
If it is, like there are lines. Like we're all adults here. We can use constructive critical thinking to sort out whether or not something is acceptable for a child to watch.
hmm
Everyone likes to collect their pearls about stuff. Like
You know what?
it's not that hard to figure out.
I gotta say, I hate that I am so aware of the idea of what is and isn't appropriate for children. Like, I wish I could be like my father and just not give a shit. Just put whatever on. Because, like, that's why I like the shit I like, you know?
Hmm.
Like, we've had this discussion, but, like, your media diet as a child is usually your strangest, but, like, also most interesting diet because it's, like, a weird mix of stuff that isn't age appropriate and stuff that is, and like they exist as like the same thing to you, you know? Like
Hmm.
we all have our exceptions. Like some people like are raised very strictly and they don't get to watch films for they aren't allowed to watch PG-13 films until they're 13. But like for a lot of people it's just like I watched Aliens when I was 5, you know?
Hmm.
At the same time I was reading like Captain Underpants. Like, and for those to be like part of the same media diet is interesting and how it shapes you. And I, people would maybe look at me and argue that didn't make me turn out right, but I feel pretty all right about that. It's some of the stuff I like about myself that I have such odd and specific tastes and things. I mean, you commented on it when we did the late shift episode. Where like it's amazing what movies we watch where you clearly run out of steam very quickly and what you could go on forever about. Like
Yeah.
that right now. Like this is one of we're already 90 minutes in. So I still got so much shit to talk about.
All right, we can go into it.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the sequels. You know, we got shit to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the actual plot of the movie? Like we've talked about all the actors, we've given the broad strokes, but like what actually happens in it?
I mean, it's almost kind of like a single location film in a subway.
Well, we get
By
that's
the
the
end of that.
second half is that. There's like it honestly another Carpenter thing where it feels like the first half is like all set up. and then the second half is being trapped in that subway, right?
Yeah, and I will say I do like that a lot.
No, I love that. Like,
I
it's the
really
best.
like that.
Uh,
I like when movies do that. Of course, the setup and the character stuff has to be engaging.
yeah.
Uh, but like you can't just be putting pieces in place to pay off
Oh,
later.
the pregnancy subplot isn't in the theatrical cut, is it? Right?
No.
Like, Mayor Sorvino gets pregnant. Like, that's kind of all it really is. Like, it's a motherhood thing, like
Mm-hmm.
creating life and stuff like that. 'Cause that's a lot of what the story's about.
All right.
Uh,
I don't have that much more to like go off of the movie. I mean, as we go over it, we will. So I'll describe what the actual plot of the movie is.
yeah.
But I have to ask now that you brought that up: was there a version of the movie that ended with her being pregnant with a bug?
I don't think so. I don't think that's what was going to happen.
Okay.
I know there are
My
the
brain just put
famous,
that together right now. I did not have that preconceived notion until you said that.
yeah, there are the famous wild endings of the movie that almost happened, which we will get to that at the end of the
Oh
movie.
yeah. No, I'm most excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, it's one of those things where, like, just to give some people some, like, something to look forward to. I think this movie would definitely stand like almost if like with the director's cut vibe and one of the original endings. I think this movie would go down as maybe more of a classic of the genre, because like those endings are killer. But we'll get to them.
yeah. Uh, so after Dr. Mira Sorvino and her team use science to wipe out disease carrying cockroaches, they use another breed of insects, the Judas breed,
Yeah,
to wipe them
genetically
out.
engineered breed.
They're genetically engineered bugs, and they're supposed to die off after a single generation. That doesn't happen,
No, it does not. And
and
in
they
fact, they
keep
spread up
evolving.
their breeding cycle. It's actually pretty good with how it plays out. I guess I wonder how much do people know, excuse me, going into this that it's a giant bug movie,
Hmm.
like because they do a pretty good job for the most part of making the bugs just look like the Overcoat Slim or Mr. Funny Shoes as the kid calls him. They
Hmm.
give him so many weird nicknames. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like they have like it is that thing where like we like Xenomorph kind of accidentally became the name of the aliens from Alien.
Hmm.
Um, but like there's like three names. They're the Judas Bug, they're Mr. Funny Shoes, and Overcoat Slim. Like so they do a pretty good job hiding it, so you don't totally know what's going on. But I guess you just assume it's a bug movie going into it, so you know that there's something just exactly what you're not sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like it's so they wipe them out. They're supposed to die. They don't. They evolve. They evolve. The title of the movie that to mimic their biggest predator at the start anyway, which is humans. So they can kind of put on this appearance where they lift. It's pretty cool when they the reveal. There's the picture reveal, but then there's also the subway reveal with when they take the dead body of the one bug and they can like it just lifts its arms up to create like a little face, a
Hmm.
little human looking face. Like that's a pretty cool reveal.
That is, yeah.
Pretty disturbing. And so yeah, and it's this weird like the real sin that these characters take is when she puts together like when the kids those two kids deliver the weird bug, quote unquote. And that's a good scene where she just gets to sell the idea that she's really into bugs, but also explains like what's going to happen. For the
Hmm.
rest of it, it's like this is where the nest is. This is where the one, this is where the breeding happens. This is why you can't start a colony on your own. Like there's all these rules set up. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, I wonder how this movie's gonna play out.
No, it's very obvious, but like for a movie like this, I do like that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And then when she puts it together that it's the Judas bug and that it's still alive and that there might be a problem, like she doesn't know that they're human size yet. She just knows that they're still around. Um, Instead of like reporting it, they try to see if they can do something about it before it like becomes a bigger deal, right? Like maybe we can
Hmm.
find like because if they had maybe reached out to someone, they wouldn't have gotten trapped in the subway.
Yeah.
um, yeah, those kids, those fucking kids say don't go looking through the subway, kids. Uh,
No,
they
don't
go
do that.
they go looking for the egg sac, which I believe the egg sac might not even be in the theatrical cut, is it?
No,
Like
the exact is like they start chopping away at it, right?
okay, I think
Yeah,
it
yeah,
might
yeah.
look different in the theatrical cut though. Like
Really?
yeah. Well, because
Okay.
for some reason the cover of the director's cut is the egg sac, and I remember it looking differently, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen the theatrical cut of the movie, so I could be completely wrong there.
Okay, it's kind of like strung up to the wall, right? Like by a bunch of
Yeah, is
like
it like
gooey stuff.
orangish?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
still
okay, all
that.
right. Then it's not. I for some reason I thought there was like weird like little changes like that throughout the movie. I know the homeless people they run into was definitely added, but yeah. So I think the way it's edited in the theatrical cut, there's like almost an idea that like these kids could run into them down there before they die, but like they separate it more in the director's cut. Like it just cuts
Mm.
from them being escorted out where it's like, come on kids, time to go home, and then it cuts to them in the subway like a scene later being like, come on, if we find that egg sac, we might be able to sell it for like $20. Like, and then they get like they get stabbed to death by a giant bug after they catch it eating a dog.
Yeah.
Just like everything that could go wrong, like that could be horrible in a scene, is in that scene. Uh, yeah, kids die screaming.
Yeah. It's so
So
brutal.
it's pretty brutal. Yeah, and the only kid that lives in this movie gets to see his father murdered in front of him. Like
Yeah.
it's a pretty unforgiving movie, and I guess
Wait, is
that's
it
the
his
point.
father or his grandfather?
Sure.
All
Like I
right.
don't know.
Maybe it's not very clear.
It's not totally clear. He's kind of an Italian stereotype.
Oh.
You
Well, you
don't need
know.
school. He's so special. I think he even says at one point, "It's a me."
Wow.
I kind
I
of
don't
brushed
remember that.
against that. So yeah, so like these things are evolving to first hide from humans, and then like now as they're getting stronger to hunt humans. They go down to the subway thinking they're going to find like some egg sacs. They end up trapped in the subway. Susan ends up trapped by a completely different means, mainly to get her down there, which is that's actually a pretty good moment where I don't know if you like if you've been in New York City.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, but it was so long ago.
yeah, there, if you ever go to New York City and you're wandering around by yourself, which I have done, there are moments where you suddenly realize like you're the only person like in a subway station or on a street, and it's incredibly eerie. Like, because it's like you're in like one of the most densely populated cities on Earth, and suddenly you're by yourself.
Hmm.
It's a weird vibe. I was in Grand Central Station like late one night, and I took a turn, and suddenly I realized I was the only person in this long hallway, and it's a weird vibe.
That's a little fucking scary.
Yeah, that's why that scene where she gets taken is pretty good, where she's just like slowly people start, leaving, and it's just her. And I also like this idea of the subways being a sort of like their, ant hill, basically, if you want to look at it, like their weird tunnel network. Because we see I think it's termites she shows them in the beginning, because they're like digging into like a giant tree log that she has in the middle of her office. Man, her office rules.
Yeah.
That's my next room. Is just gonna have a giant fucking bug tank in the middle of it. Uh,
No, I love that the subways are like the connecting systems for them.
yeah.
There's like with monster movies, there's the ones that have a lot of thought behind them, and the other ones that are like, let's just fucking make some monsters to
Yeah,
get
wouldn't it be
like
cool if a
fucking kill
bug was
people.
right there? Is usually the other
Yeah,
ones.
and this clearly has like a bunch of fucking thought put into it, like how this world works, how these creatures operate, even more than just the exposition. Like there's thought behind
You know what's
everything
definitely
in these
a big
monsters.
influence on this movie? Them. Have you ever seen Them?
I have seen them as a great movie.
Them is a fantastic monster
Yeah,
movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. Like, I think people just assume it's going to be goofy because it's like giant ants, and like, yeah, the ants do look a little goofy to our modern eyes, but it takes its premise like super seriously. And
Yeah.
another like apocalyptic type story of if these ants keep breeding, like we're fucked. Like if they
Hmm.
keep making giant ants, and it has the classic like it was nuclear radiation that made them big, right? And it has the
Yeah,
classic
yeah.
of like, well, like the first bombs were blown up like 10 years ago. Like we've launched so many more since then. Who knows what else will happen? Like it's very Oppenheimer almost. Like we've started some sort of chain reaction here, and we don't know what it is. That's
But
kind of
instead
crazy.
of
Them rules.
that movie does that's a great movie.
Yeah,
But
check it
like
out if you haven't seen
instead of the world on fire as the final image, it's of the world turning into a giant ant.
it. It's just a giant anthill.
Yeah.
But that's a wild movie. It had to have influenced Mimic.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
it's kind of the similar climax of like we have to take care of the one that can breed, right? Like
hmm Oh yeah, that's super obvious in my eyes. Like if you did one of those like modern interviews where it's like, what are the 10 movies that influenced you making this or whatever the fuck, them would be on that list for
Yeah,
him.
exactly. Yeah, if Guillermo del Toro gave his letterbox list.
Yeah. He
But I do
used to tweet movie recommendations all the time, and someone
yeah, that was
compiled
cool.
them into a letterbox
I
list.
can't. He started an account, and it was one of those. I think he had to do it to promote a movie, and he was like, "I don't really want to have an account, but here is one."
Yeah.
And then he was like, "You know what? If I'm gonna have this, I might as well use it." So like, he would recommend a movie a day and like a book a day. Like,
Yeah.
he was doing like, yeah, someone compile all of that. Like, I want to read what he recommended, because he does have great taste.
Yeah.
I mean, now he's on. I follow him on Blue Sky, and now he just posts like pictures of all the little models he's making.
You know what? I didn't know he was on Blue Sky. I'm gonna follow him right now.
Yeah, one of the first celebrities, and like Blue Sky kind of has the vibe of early Twitter right now.
Mm.
So it's a little more chill. There's some guys trying to make it worse, obviously, because if you let white supremacists in, they're going to try and make it as bad as possible. Uh,
Obviously.
there's also that weird thing that used to happen on Twitter where just pornography will rise to the top. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's actually a big problem, I guess, with like there's been a mass migration of furries to. I was reading it.
Oh no.
There's been a mass migration of furries to Blue Sky, and it's just like that shit is floating to the top because they post a lot apparently. Um, I guess there's weird like infighting in the furry community. I don't know what's going on over
Oh
there.
god.
When is the furry horror movie gonna happen? Is that just Five Nights at
It
Freddy's?
might be Five Nights at Freddy's. That might be the one.
Are they into that though? Because they're robots. They're not like
But
furry.
they're like suits, and apparently they're also there's more like lore they add in the sequels. Like I thought it was just like
No,
robots go crazy.
the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't know much about it. I just know it's insanely dense and deep. I mean, that one
Yeah.
guy who does the game theory, I don't know that guy's name. It's like one of the most popular channels on YouTube. He also does film theory, where
Mm.
like I mean, and he's kind of one of the guys where he's just like they were dead the whole time. Like that seems to be his take every time. But he basically built his career off of Five Nights at Freddy's like lore videos, you
Mm.
know. Um, so it'd be weird if the guy who made Five Nights at Freddy's was like a weird pro-lifer. That'd be a
That
weird
would
thing
be.
to find out, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's
That like
definitely.
he spent his life trying to make like religious video games, and like none of them took off, and then he just made Five Nights at Freddy's, and that ends up being the one that hits, and now he makes so much money from it he can donate to all the Republican candidates he likes to ease his conscience.
Yeah, that would be really weird to find out.
That'd be weird.
That wasn't really specific for any reason in particular.
Yeah, no. There's no specifics to what I just said. Nothing whatsoever. I
You
thought
could do.
that movie looks like it's going to be a hit. Like people are excited for it. I was positive that they had waited too long.
I
Like
thought so too.
it
It.
felt
Yeah.
like it had been too long to do it. Although I did my cousins came to visit recently and their kids are Gen Z and I was talking to them and they for one they wanted to ask me about like what animated movies I like, which caught me off guard. They had never seen the John Wick films, so we basically just showed them all of them and they like loved them.
That's incredible.
So they're like, apparently they haven't shut up about John Wick since they got back. Uh,
Nice.
and we they were shocked when I said I thought Illuminations Entertainment was a terrorist organization.
You told them that?
I maybe didn't say that. I said like they asked me who I thought was the best, and I was like, you know what? It's actually hard to answer right now because like we're not like because even studios I like have put out bad movies, and I was like the only one I really don't like is Illumination, and they were kind of shocked by that. And then I did do my thing where I said the Lorax is maybe the worst movie I've ever seen, but hey, if they're gonna listen, I'm gonna fucking tell them.
Yeah, yeah.
People are super excited about the Minecraft movie that's gonna come out, like
Oh
which is
yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
but allegedly starring Jason Momoa.
Allegedly, yeah.
It's definitely happening now after Mario made all that money. Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, but like this version?
I guess, but then like also the Five Nights at Freddy's version is still happening. Like
Yeah, I
they were excited
guess.
about that too. They were like, "Yeah, man, they're finally making it." Like,
Yeah. You know what? I'll be honest. I liked playing that first game a lot. It was very fun, especially with like a group of friends, the jump scare shit. Like it's a fun experience. That can make a really fun like 90, 80-minute movie.
mhm.
That movie looks like dog shit.
You think it? I didn't even
I
bother
think it looks
with the
bad.
trailer.
I think it looks really bad. And hey,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong.
It'll
I've
probably
been
make
wrong
money,
before.
though. It's probably
Oh,
gonna
it'll
make
make so much fucking money.
money.
Yeah.
So, hey,
But whatever. You could do a mimic video game in the style of
look,
like Five Nights at Freddy's.
I got to get something off my chest real quick.
Okay.
I'm not a furry, but
All right. Me neither.
but when the,
Whoa.
when the last Five Nights at Freddy's game came out, there was a character in it named Roxanne Wolf.
Oh my! I don't know what this is.
I was on TikTok. It was when I was first using TikTok. 'Cause it was very popular. It was a very popular cosplay choice. Was that character? Just saying, those cosplayers didn't look too bad.
Okay.
Just getting that out. I had to get it off my chest.
No, thank you for sharing that here
I had
to the public.
if I cannot die with that just being in my brain. So I mocked my friend Emily, who's definitely listening to this episode because she's a big Del Toro fan. I mocked her recently for she posted on Blue Sky something like, "I'm not a furry, but I find wolf guy is kind of hot." I think she said something like that, and I was like, "That's disgusting." So it's funny to now say this.
Well, you know.
What? Wait, all right. This is an important discussion. Where is the line with furry?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, all right. So like you can get like there are like monsters, like monster people, but like they just have sharp teeth, right? Like in like fantasy films or something like that. Or like what was that girl who could like change into animals in the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Oh, like a druid or a shapeshifter,
Not
right?
Druid, but it was something. Whatever she is. Like, is she technically a furry?
I would say yes, but I don't know for sure.
Like I think I like to me, it's always like the fur thing is what makes them the furry, like which is like very off-putting to me. But like if you give them like a tail or something, I'm kind of there.
What is this going? How does this happen?
I'm just saying, it's. I think this is important. We need to like set up some laws here.
Yeah, I think we do, but I think we're on opposite sides of the fences here with the
I
laws.
think I'm just saying. People like those fucking Avatar people.
They do. That's true.
It's not my thing, but are they furries? They got cat-like aesthetics.
Yeah, I think that does make them kind of furries.
But they're also aliens. Can aliens be furries?
And then at what point, because you mentioned like the teeth and stuff, are there like what makes someone like a monster fucker? Because I know a monster fucker is like a thing.
Yeah.
I remember because that got really popular when the first Venom movie came out, and I was like, I
Well,
guess
Venom was one of those things where like a bunch of people were just waiting to be like, yes. Like
yeah.
there was
No,
that
no,
and the tall lady from fucking Resident Evil.
Oh,
where-
that was like COVID lockdown brain.
Yeah.
No, that
Still,
was.
but it was a moment of people being like, you know what I really want? A fucking 10-foot tall fucking vampire woman who's just gonna fucking rip my throat out. Like everyone was just that for about a week. Like,
Yeah, and yeah, that was. Look, who among us hasn't been horny on Maine?
who's among us?
But that was like, I was like, Jesus Christ, let us out, you know, like open the schools, get the fuck away from me.
Hey, I don't want to judge people. I mean, whatever.
No, whatever.
That one's not even that weird. That
Into.
is literally just like, you know what would be better than a woman, a slightly bigger woman. Like, it's just, that's really what that is. Like, yeah, everything about her is slightly bigger. That would be excellent. Like, that's all that really is. But like again, so like, how much of that is the monster thing? You know, she also has like like those like weird like knives for fingers, and she's like a vampire kinda. Like yeah. I think these are important. Here's the thing. I think Del Toro like he's an avowed he likes the fetish of the bugs, and the bugs in here are just like fucking bugs. Like they are not like sexy bug monsters.
No,
Like,
no.
they are disgusting bug creatures, and you can feel that Del Toro loves it. Like, he shoots them in such a way where you can tell it's like, oh, he loves these things.
Yeah, it's predating his fish penis era.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess what I'm trying to say is monster fucking is a land of contrasts.
I guess that's the takeaway everyone should have from this episode.
Yeah, I'm glad we got that out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you are.
Yeah, go fucking calm down. Don't be such a fucking prude, man.
No, it's just like
We
I
live in a
didn't
state.
expect that to
Everyone's so
go.
fucking weird these days. Just fucking go for it.
No,
Like, who
no, 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 no.
cares?
I'm just saying, like, I just didn't expect this episode to
Fucking
go down that
record
road.
heat. Like every day, we're all gonna die. Like, just fucking, just fucking calm the fuck down.
No, no. Look, you and your willing partners out there. This is for everyone, not just
Yeah.
Macaringa. Everyone, just go have a good time. No judgment here.
I'm glad you're making it clear it's not just for me.
No, no. It's for the people of America. It's for the people of the world. Go out, have your fun. We're all gonna be dead in like 5 years, anyways.
Yeah, no offense, it is so funny hearing the fucking disgust in your voice. You really don't want the episode to devolve into this.
No, it's already here. I have to come to terms with that.
I know, but like,
It's
Are-
like
I
I
keep
didn't think about whether or not we should.
you were raised Catholic, right?
I was.
Yeah, that explains it. Like,
No. They're not to get into too much detail. I definitely had hangups that are no longer there.
No,
That's what I'll say. But
you do not
yeah,
have to it's any cat. I was raised Catholic. I think that El Toro was raised Catholic. All Catholics understand that like the last thing we ever want to talk about is sexuality.
yes.
And it's like the last thing. And then when
I think I've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
This one just took me for a fucking loop.
No,
Right
I know
now.
it's getting better, but it's just like when it does come out, it's in weird moments like this, like, and then it's just we're fucked for life, Diego.
No, I know. No, because like before, it was like the sitcom thing where it's like a character can't say penis or whatever,
Yeah.
or like vagina. They'd be like, oh, vajuju and the
Oh
peen,
God,
and
like Oprah Winfrey saying vajayjay and shit like that. Oh my God.
yeah, no, that's never really been a problem for me, and I've gotten a lot better at things after that. But it's definitely there's always like I kind of catch myself like, hang on, I'm having trouble talking about this. Why am I having trouble? Oh right, yeah, the whole it's Catholic guilt still lingering.
Catholic guilt. And I'll say this, it is relevant to Mimic, but like I talk about how my father would let me watch like violent as shit movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the line he drew was at nudity. He's like, no nudity. Like you can watch the most violent shit you've ever seen, but you can't watch nudity. And it did fuck my brain up a little bit when I was younger, of being like boobs are bad, but people's heads getting blown off is totally fine. Like, and I had to get over and be like, wait, no, there's nothing wrong with boobs. What the fuck am I talking about? Yeah. Like my dad did everything possible to accidentally make me gay, and he was lucky I ended up bi. Like, he did not realize what he was building.
It's the accidental dad win.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just,
if he's a supportive father, that's a win.
He took me to the Matrix sequels when I was younger, and like he somehow forgot that the first 10 minutes of the Matrix, the first one, is like in a fetish nightclub, like, and it's more just he doesn't know what that is. Like, he's a boomer, like.
He's like, oh yeah, this is like some Matrix club. I don't know what it is. There's nothing like this in the real world.
Who knows? Like, and then it's like he's a little surprised when there's the massive orgy scene in the fucking beginning of Matrix Revolutions. So,
Reloaded. Yeah.
Reloaded. Revolutions does have another fetish club though.
It does. That's right.
Yeah, with where fucking the
and with the French guy, so it's extra perverted.
Yeah. Oh, the French.
Yeah. You fucking weirdos.
Natalie Portman's husband just cheated on her.
Yeah, because he's French. That's what they do. That's like
their
thing.
The thing. It's like it's renewed an entire new wave of French hatred.
Yeah.
It's that. It's breaking up with Natalie Portman and not supporting us during the Iraq War. That's what causes the waves of anti-French sentiment in the United States. Although, what the fuck?
Country.
Fuck the French.
Yeah.
What they do, people. The invented culture, fuck them.
Yeah.
Who is
Eiffel
this
Tower, it's nothing special.
Who is this idiot? Oh, he was the choreographer from
Black Swan.
Yeah. Well.
Now, you know what? I get how that relationship happens.
No, that makes sense, but also, what a fucking tool.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
Maybe
Natalie
Portman's
like a monster person. Like, we don't know Natalie Portman.
I would like to.
Oh, boy. Now it's Diego.
No. Moving on.
Put the Madala hat on.
Yeah, I also hate sand, Natalie.
The Padme makeup stays on. You're lucky I jumped there as a movie. I'll just say that.
I no idea. I was like, this could go so many different
Yeah,
directions.
yeah.
Um, so I'm just gonna walk
How
away
about that
slowly now.
Leon the Professional?
Nope.
Another movie my dad let me watch when I was younger.
That's fucking crazy.
I know. Who also just like he just doesn't see it. Like he's like, what are you talking about? Like
Well, I mean, like because for me that movie's always kind of been strange. It's
yeah,
only gotten more strange, and I don't think the action's even that good, so I can't be like problematic fave, whatever, right? Um, like people didn't get that, or people didn't see that at least, like in our age demographic a lot of
yeah.
the time, like in America.
I don't know. I think we like not to be like down on humanity, but like I think we downplayed like weird I don't know what that's like pedophilic subtext in stories. Like we downplayed that until shockingly recently. It felt like like
Hmm.
there's
Yeah.
been a stronger pushback in recent years, and now it's like turned into like crazy conspiracy theory land where like people are storming pizza places over pedophile conspiracies. But yeah, I think it's part of the reason. I think part of the reason why there's that weird kind of conspiracy mind now is that like you watch a movie like Leon now and you're like, how is this like a mainstream hit?
Hmm.
Like who let this happen?
It still makes it onto like the best action movies of all time list, which is
Yeah,
fucking crazy to me.
especially when like he also if you got to put a Luke Besson like La Femme Nikita exists, like that's a
Yeah,
pretty
Fifth
solid.
Element,
Yeah,
fucking
I guess that's more like because of that's like the like sci-fi elements. Like people are kind of reluctant to sometimes put that on an action movie thing. But
hmm
what a fucking weirdo that guy is.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Fuck that guy.
yeah, he hasn't done much lately. Uh,
No, but he still produces a lot and
well,
stuff,
he,
and
he he found a way that he can basically produce movies without consequences, like because he owns his own production company.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, so weird ass French people, always up in this place.
Yeah.
For as big as Leon's, like it's kind of weird that Jean Reno kind of they never really figured out what to do with him either.
No, and
Kind of
he's
run,
a
but he
good
was always
actor.
like a supporting guy and stuff.
Hmm.
Like I mean, he's like in the Godzilla movie as the French terrorist or whatever.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, but he does a fucking killer like Elvis bit in that movie
yeah,
that
no,
still makes me laugh.
no, he's good at it. He's the villain in Mission Impossible, right? He's the first
Oh yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's in the first one.
he's in the movie Ronin, which is pretty good. Like,
Oh yeah, I love Ronan.
but then it's like I'm looking at like the rest of his stuff, and it's like, yeah, they just didn't know what to do with him, like, which is
I'm
a
sorry. I just have to mention the other bit. His other bit in the Godzilla movie when him and the other French guys are all chewing gum. They're like, "Why are you guys all chewing gum?" They're like, "Oh, so we look more American." That's so fucking funny, and I don't know why.
yeah. I don't know why you find it funny either.
Just like,
I do like his Elvis Presley bit. Like,
yeah.
I do like that. It also it's like it's deployed in one of the dumbest ways humanly possible, though. That movie
Yeah.
sucks ass, Diego. Ugh.
I'm not gonna comment. I'm just gonna move on.
This Mimic is significantly better than that shit.
Anyways,
If you even dare, I will beat you to death.
oh, that's the line that we can't cross today.
If you even suggest that, I will make you uncomfortable for every episode of this miniseries. I will find a weird, obscure fetish to bring up and devote 20% of the conversation to it.
Well, you already like we're gonna bring up VTubers during one of the Avatar discussions at
Oh
one
yeah,
point.
that
Like
was a
I'm prepared for the worst now. I'm just really caught off guard today, I guess.
apparently there's a few new VTubers out there. They a new group just joined.
Oh, okay. Is it like you
I
have
think there's
to
like
enter the
waves or something.
organization?
Like there's waves, I guess. Like they're like, oh, there's a new group and they're themed to something. I don't totally understand how it works.
Oh, okay.
There's also male VTubers, which were a thing I think when I brought it up last time, but I was less aware of them, and now they are more popular.
Okay.
So,
Well, they could be like the Judas Breed VTubers,
oh
but
god,
instead of talking, it's just the
yeah, it's just that weird. It's just that weird.
yeah. It's just...
I wonder if you could. Is there a bug themed one? That's
I
that.
don't know.
I assume that's. You know, though, I did find this because this is the AI discussion. There is an AI generated VTuber of some kind. Um, she made some news recently, where like it's a text to speech program, I believe, and it's generated, and she can respond to what messages she gets. I don't totally understand how it works though. So it feels like one of those we're going to find out that it's not at all AI and it was just a dude doing it, but I have no evidence. So
Hmm.
um, maybe the apocalyptic tones of Mimic are appropriate when I say stuff like that out loud. Maybe we really are the last generation.
Maybe. And the generation that just started beneath us, they're the Judas
Now
generation.
there's a horror movie. What if like these VTuber personalities like they start like separating from the humans that impersonate them? Like as the technology gets better, as they get infused with like AI elements, and
Oh, that's something.
they start becoming independent, and they're gonna replace us. It's like, wait, we're actually the screen they're watching.
Oh.
There you,
Ooh, that's creepy.
there you go.
That's an idea.
World dominated by weird looking VTuber anime girls.
Well, I mean, that's kind of that just brings to mind that scene from Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
You know, with the giant Joy, the giant Ana de Armas.
yeah. Joy, interesting name.
Yeah.
Did you know the story behind the name?
Know what I'm scared to ask now.
I can't say it on the podcast.
Oh my god. Okay, moving on.
All right, I'll just give you a hint.
No.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
This is for everyone out there. I believe it is Joy spelled Joi, correct?
Yes.
All right. I can give you the second two words. The middle word is off, and the last word is instruction.
Oh.
Yeah, which is
Well,
apparently a thing people are into. So that's what that's a reference to.
okay.
Denis Villeneuve, quietly an insane person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the most overtly really sexual his movies have gotten, I think.
Yeah, he's not a very like sexualized guy.
Yeah, so that's a weird one.
Like his whole thing is very sterile aesthetics, and like
Yeah.
sometimes that works really well, like in Blade Runner, obviously, and other times I'm like, nah, you could have done more.
I feel like
Um,
Dune should have a little more. Maybe we'll get that in the sequels because I think the romance is a bigger part of the next half. So
yeah, no, my big criticism of the first tune he did, which I did really like, is it needs to get stranger and
yeah,
like aesthetically it needs to be more challenging. And to be fair, the trailer for the new one does look like it's
it
going
does
much
look pretty
wilder.
killer. It does look
Yeah,
pretty killer. I fucking hope that moron Zaslav doesn't delay it
no.
like he keeps talking. But
But then
what,
who will promote the movie?
what a moron!
Yeah, I don't know.
Watch out, Hollywood's run by morons. Replace them with the bugs. The bugs will do a much better job.
Yeah. So I'm delivering this script, and I've got this lookbook. I want you guys to look over. Yeah, no, I know. I'm asking for a bigger budget this time. No, I know the last one underperforms.
Now I agree. We can't hire them.
No, we can't handle bad PR after the last one.
Yeah. Look,
In
I
the corner.
apologize. We did
Don't
our
even
due
get fucking
diligence.
started, Jerry.
Eggs on my face. You were right. It was a problem. But that kid, I gotta be honest, the kid, like, as an actor, does a pretty good fucking job with those spoons. Like,
No, he does. He
making the
does.
clicking noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of just wanders into the church that they were like that is one of the places where they were housed.
Mhm.
And it's I guess that would probably annoy people. Like the kid kind of just wanders off, right? But
Yeah.
it's kind of an attempt to bring all the characters together. It's a little sweaty, but it works pretty well.
No, I do think it's a little convenient.
Yeah,
But whatever. It's a giant bug movie,
yeah,
you know? And
yeah.
I
It's not,
think I would have a significantly larger issue with that had it gone the direction Del Toro was more interested in.
Mhm.
with the
You think
cosmic apocalypse shit.
you think you would have a bigger problem with the coincidences if the movie was better?
Yes,
All right,
basically.
all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of sweaty though, there's an amazing moment in this movie where they find out they can mask their scent by rubbing their bodies with the dead bug body, you know,
Hmm.
and uh, Jeremy Northam's about to go out there, and Mira Sorvino's like, "Okay, try not to sweat," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I'll try not to sweat." It's like, what the fuck? Don't even say that. Like, you can't, you can't not sweat. Like now he's
Yeah, I
definitely.
know, right?
It's. I don't know if that was like supposed to be funny or if it was just unintentionally funny, but
I do really like that scene where they're smothering everything with the scent of the bugs so
yeah.
they don't get attacked and stuff like that's clever. That's like I love seeing like that problem solving in
I
a
also like
little movie
the
like
way
this.
they work to establish like just how durable these bugs are. Like they think they kill the one, but like it still keeps coming after them, you know, because like
Hmm.
you really have to destroy him, and like that's how Charles S. Dutton gets injured. He eventually sacrifices himself to get the subway car moving. Um, the ending kind of turns into like just generic monster movie. Like we need to get out of here, and also we need to kill the hive. Like that's basically what it boils down to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they kind of end up with like a bit of an adoptive family. Jeremy Northam sacrificed himself to blow up the hive, but he ends up being fine. I think blowing up the hive though was like completely unnecessary because like they just had to kill the male, right?
Hmm.
The male gets like hit by a subway car, like splat, like get it? Aha, it's like a bug. Uh,
Yeah, which is clever. That's clever.
it is a little, but it's also like definitely the most Weinstein touch I think this movie has. Uh, let's talk
But
about the original.
I'll just say really quick. I'll just say like I guess you don't have to kill the rest of them, but maybe you should because they'll still eat people.
Yeah, I guess, but it's also like in terms of like tension, it's kind of a tensionless moment. You know, like I feel
Yeah,
like
like I
you,
think it'd be better to like kind of combine those two sequences in a
well,
way,
because
you know.
the more realistic thing that would happen is you would kill the male, get out of the subway, and then go, "Hey, there's a nest of bugs down there. We need to go kill it." Right?
Hmm.
Like that's what you would do.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like I think of Ron Howard's father in Ed Wood, where he's like, "I want the movie to end with a big explosion." Like,
That's
that's
yeah, that
almost
makes a lot
kind
of
of what
sense.
it is. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess a bunch like Harvey's sitting back going like, "It worked for Jaws. Smoke the shark in Jaws. It'll work here, right?" But hey, all
But
right,
the original ending.
yeah,
Now we
you
can talk
you
about the
you were
good
really
shit.
fascinated discovering the original endings of these movies. Do you want to talk about them?
Yeah. So let me pull them up real quick. So, because what we just described and talked about was a pretty basic, although well made, B monster movie.
Mhm.
Normal, regular fucking just slice and dice like little
I would
horror
argue
movie.
with a little more to it. Now, maybe I'm talking because that's maybe the director's cut, but there's like a little more. There's a little more kick to it.
No, it's got some seasoning. It's got some flavoring of like the more apocalyptic vibe you talked about, and Del Toro's like his eventual like interest or his interests are always there, but like we don't really see them until later. Like even Blade 2, you're kind of like, hang on, there's like more going on here than just
Yeah,
Blade kicking
and
ass. You know what I
and
mean?
that's one of those things that happens with some directors where their earlier films benefit from the director developing a filmography. You know, because then you get to start to pinpoint like certain obsessions. And
Yeah, and I
makes
do think
perfect
this
sense.
movie does benefit from all that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so the ending, there's two big ones that we're gonna talk about. The original ending, the theatrical one, is just it's like okay, they won, they saved the day, and it's a closing credits time, right? The original ending, which was filmed, I believe,
But
unless I'm
it is
mistaken.
not the ending of the director's cut.
Oh,
So
okay, that's a bummer.
yeah, it's weird. I think it was just like it was kind of like they. I don't know if that footage maybe doesn't even really exist anymore because I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
think
it
the
was.
Weinsteins are so fucking vindictive, they might have just destroyed it. You know?
Well, I think the stuff that is in the movie because it's weird where a lot of the stuff in it is like he actually takes a lot out when he but still manages to add 12 minutes. And I think whatever he put in was probably part of a cut of the film at some point.
Hmm.
and anything else that was not in a like test print of the movie, like just doesn't exist anymore. That
That
could.
fucking sucks. Because the original tested ending was that the characters still arrive at Grand Central Station, but now they're surrounded by the clicking noises of the bugs.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, the fucking the bugs they're in the population now. Like it's over. Like they've really lost. Like it's too late. It's the end of
Well,
humanity as we know it.
it's a little ambiguous, right? Like it's supposed to be kind of like, is that the clicking we're hearing, or is it footsteps? And this movie, I will say, the movie does a really good job of like, there are constant silhouettes of people you can't make out in this movie, right? Like there's
Hmm.
people crossing in front of the camera, there's people in the background, and you really start looking at that by the end, and that ending sounds a lot more like, you're never going to look at people the same again, right? Like you're like, is that a human, or is that something that's like you're fundamentally changed by the end
Hmm.
of it, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, but then there is the other ending, the original written ending that I don't believe was ever filmed.
No, as far as I know, it wasn't. Do you want to mention this one? Like,
Now you can
this
tell
is a pretty fucking wild one.
Del Toro talks about it on the DVD commentary. I mean, Blu-ray commentary. So
Okay.
it's pretty good.
So instead of the last bug dying, it would have survived and spoken to Mia Sorvino's character, Dr. Tyler, and it would have been like this highly evolved creature by this point, and it would have pointed at
It would have had,
her.
like, I think he even described it would have had like an upper male torso almost,
That's fucking crazy.
because
Well,
like
it points at her and commands her to leave.
yeah, it just points and says leave, which would have been a killer ending.
Yeah, and it totally leans into the whole idea of like, all right, humanity's done. Like these guys are next up. Like, uh, God's done with us now, or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's how Del Toro puts it. He's like, God is done with us. Like that's what the vibe he wanted to give. And Weinstein's wanted it to end with a big explosion. So, and everyone hugs and is happy. So,
Yeah.
and it's so funny that this movie ends with like a triumph of like, we killed all the bugs, and then there are two sequels.
Yeah. What is that? How does that happen?
Well, that's the Weinstein Company. They did do a lot of the direct-to-video horror stuff,
Hmm.
especially in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I
Did you
mean,
know there's like two Dusk Till Dawn sequels?
yeah, they did
Yeah.
those, which are actually not bad. Um, and they did a lot. I mean, the Weinstein started in horror, so like, in both what they produced and life. But I so like I think that was kind of their wheelhouse. Like they kind of knew, look, we can make these things cheap and make a little bit of money, right? Like it
Hmm.
wasn't that big a deal. But I have seen both the sequels because these are the type of movies I watch. I love monster movies. Um, do you want me to talk about them?
Yeah, you can go into these.
All right. I do. I don't remember a ton. It's been a while, and I actually have such good memories of them. I don't want to revisit them because I there's no way they hold up, right?
Hmm.
Like they're gonna look so much worse than Del Toro's, like, and I'm gonna be like disappointed. If I remember correctly, the plot of the second one is that there are murders happening around New York City where like faces are being stolen, right?
Hmm.
And it's the bugs, like they're stealing human faces, right? Uh, there's a detective looking for it, and there's a woman who's like a bug expert, but also a teacher at like an inner city school. And somehow they end up trapped in the school as it's like under siege by bugs, right? Like that's mainly the plot of that movie.
Hmm.
Um, the thing that I really remember from this movie is they established at some point that like, oh, bugs, like I think certain species of ants, you can cut their head off and they can live for like 5 days afterwards, right?
Hmm.
Like some bug that does that. So they established that in the movie. The ending of the movie is everything looks like it turns out all right. The teacher is hanging out in her apartment with like this student who's like her like kind of like adoptive son, right? This like little kid, and they get a knock at the door. They think it's the detective who's the male detective who's become the love interest. They open the door thinking it's him, and it's one of the bugs, and it attacks them, and they cut the head off, right?
Hmm.
And it like slumps into the corner, like blocking the exit to the apartment. And like they go to move, and it kind of like shakes a little, like it's still alive, right? So they're
Mhm.
trapped. They can't move with the headless body there. And the kid just goes, "How long do you say it takes for them to die?" And that's the end of the movie.
Oh.
I like that.
So
That's a pretty fun ending, honestly.
that is, but it's like a totally different vibe
But no,
from
no,
the
that's the thing.
first.
It's like in my mind, it looks so much cooler than it probably is.
Mhm.
Like it's there's no way. And then Mimic 3, I barely remember, but it's basically Rear Window with giant bugs.
All right, I'm
Like,
gonna read the synopsis for this one on the Wikipedia. Plot.
mm,
Unable to leave the germ-free confines of his sterilized bedroom for any real stretch of time, environmentally hypersensitive Marvin, played by Carl Geary, spends his days taking pictures of neighbors from his window. Wow, it's just
yeah,
okay.
it's just like I'm not even joking. Like it's,
Occasionally catching glimpses of his young sister
but hey,
Rosie, played by
if you're gonna rip off a movie, like
yeah, oh, yeah, it's a pretty good one. I mean, look at Suspiria.
yeah,
Don't look at the lawsuit. Rosie's played by Alexis Zania, hanging out with the neighborhood drug dealer. Marvin's lens remains mostly fixed on a mysterious neighbor known as the Garbage Man, played by Lance Henriksen. Excuse
ah, you
me.
fucked it up.
I did, Lance Henriksen.
Rest
Apologies
in
to
peace,
the late
Lance
great.
Reddick.
Yeah, sorry.
You
I
fucked it
loved your
up,
work.
Diego.
I did. And pretty neighbor Carmen, played by Rebecca Mader, while his slightly overbearing mother, Amanda Plummer,
Of
rests on the
course,
couch.
of
Yeah, Amanda
course.
Plummer, that's crazy. As neighbors begin disappearing and mysterious figures move in and out of Marvin's viewfinder, the secluded voyeur begins to suspect that a sinister force is at work in his neighborhood. Though Rosie and Carmen are anxious to assist in a little detective work, the situation soon begins to spiral out of control upon the discovery that the Judas breed is far from extinct.
You know what that movie? You know what the synopsis really should say?
Rear
We
Window with bugs.
well, not that, but also it should say we didn't have a lot of money to make a lot of bugs, so you're gonna barely see anything. So we're
Yeah,
remaking Rear Window.
the budget was $10 million, which I believe was
What's
the
it for?
same
Oh yeah, that's kind
for
of crazy
both of
actually.
the direct-to-video
That
sequels.
can't be true.
Now,
That's got to be like Harvey Weinstein like funneling money somewhere. Like
no,
there's
no, no, that is, and like you and I talked about this before we started recording, but there's this like downslope in direct-to-video stuff. Like people kind of like dismiss it like just on a whim. Because yeah, a lot of it is bad, but they used to make like some real, genuinely interesting stuff. Like if you're curious, watch Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning. It is a really fucking strange action movie. You're not going to see anything like it.
yeah,
I really love that movie. But I used to get these really hidden gems, and
yeah.
now it's really fucking hard to get stuff because the Wall Street, the bankers, and the producers, they're just kind of taking over Hollywood, which is what the strike's about, and they use money to make movies, but also not really send the money to them. I think it was who's the fucking Frank Grillo
Hmm.
spoke about this in an interview where he's made a movie for like $8 million, and he saw a couple $100,000 from that, right? And then he's like, but the actual production budget was only like $1 million.
Mhm.
And I was the lead of that with Bruce Willis, and he got a bigger paycheck than I did. But okay, let's say that's even $3 million. That's still $4 million. So why wasn't that put into the production budget of the movie? Where's that going?
Yeah,
And he was like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, where's that going? You
yeah.
know,
And I mean,
and that
if it's
keeps
happening,
happening.
and if it's happening on that scale, you know it's happening on these movies that cost $200 million, and
Yeah.
these capitalistic vampires are just sucking money from the American people.
Mm.
The real monster, as always, was capitalism.
Yes.
You know, to be fair though, I gotta be honest. Like, it feels like the worst version of Mimic would be like an evil corporation makes the Judas bug, right? Like, it's
Mm.
kind of refreshing that it's not like an evil. There isn't like an evil reason for it to happen. You know, like I actually kind of like that element because you can still do all of those themes without like being like overtly like, yeah, but if that one evil businessman hadn't have been there, it would have been fine. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean Del Toro I think is a pretty knowledgeable guy about like world politics at this point too.
yeah, he seems to
He
be pretty.
understands that it's like you can be a well-meaning person and still do something that causes harm. It's like
Yeah.
how to deal with that is what kind of defines you as a human being too, you
Mhm.
know.
And also, some
And
people are just
yeah.
fascists, and should get shot in
Yes. Oh, yes. Also, some people are just monsters.
the. Yeah,
Fascist, capitalist, pig swine.
yeah.
It happens.
It might be the best death in any movie when that fascist at the end of Pan's Labyrinth is like, "I want my son to know what time Like and he hands him the watch. It's like they won't even know your name, and they just shoot him. Like,
Yeah. Oh God, what a fucking terrific movie.
yeah, he's great. It makes me
Yeah.
feel horrible and happy at the same time.
Yep.
That seems to be his thing. I mean, Shape of Water kind of does the same thing. Where
Yeah, when I was very
now, wait a
religious,
minute.
I found Pan's Labyrinth to be very happy and enlightening by the end. As an adult, I'm like, well, it's still sweet, but it's fucking sad.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Shape of Water. That's an overtly monster fucker movie.
Hmm.
Is the Gill Man in that? Is he a furry?
I don't know why I know this, but I believe the reptilian ones are called scalies.
How do you know that?
I saw a tweet
Who
that
made this
described that.
choice?
I don't
I
know.
don't like this at all.
I don't know. There's no
I don't.
congregation of furries or scalies I could talk to. I'm just saying.
Well, hold on. Is there a separation between? It's like, is there separation? Scalies, hit us up. Um,
I don't.
no, please do. Send us your fan art. We would love to see it.
I
Uh,
will kill myself.
send it to @Diego at Waffle Press. I don't know. Diego's on Blue Sky now. You
Oh
guys
God.
send it to him. But just scalies for scales, but like, what isn't like? Aren't like fish kind of different? Like
I don't know.
maybe call them gillies because of the gills.
I'm loading a gun right now. I'm gonna
Shoot
kill myself.
yourself.
Yes. You know what's fucking crazy? Shape of Water. I knew it was like successful ultimately because it won the Academy Awards. It almost made $200 million.
People rolled the fuck up to see the Monster Fucker movie.
That's awesome.
there's something
That's
going on
so
under the
cool.
surface of America. Um, something's up, but hey,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
yeah. That
How
guy
is
wrote
that like one of his most successful films?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is one of those like I don't know. I think it's one of those things where like we're being like jokey about it. But I think it's one of those things where it's not really as weird as people think it is. Like I think it's a more common thing that people are interested in that kind of romance. Specifically romance. Like I'm talking about like, not like, I mean those Twilight books were so fucking popular, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you see that post going around? I thought it was pretty funny. So I guess who's the woman who wrote Twilight? Stephanie Meyer. Stephanie Meyer.
Stephanie Meyer.
I guess she wrote another version of Twilight where the genders are flipped, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a female vampire after a male human or something like that in a high school setting. And there was some thread where someone like described the plot of it, and then there was that Danny DeVito image at the bottom where it was like, I get it. Like, people who made fun of Twilight in the early 2000s suddenly being like, I get it.
Well, hey, I'll be honest. If we're talking about stuff we used to kind of maybe make fun of at a younger age and kind of come around to it, Taylor Swift is really popular right now, and I've never been a Taylor Swift anti by any means. I've admired her work from afar.
Well, Taylor,
Singing
I don't want to say
some of her stuff at karaoke, man. I kind of get it now.
I don't want to say too much about Taylor Swift because it feels like we will get murdered if we say the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Swifties are very intense, and she's been very smart of specifically sidestepping politics throughout her career.
Mm-hmm.
She's spoken up a little more in recent years, but then she did date that guy for a moment that caused some.
Oh, she did date a guy who's basically a white supremacist. Yeah.
Yeah, but also she seems to date anyone. No offense to Taylor Swift. Again, I'm trying not to piss anyone off, but she did kind of end up like she's developed a real fascinating kind of persona too that like we can't ignore. She started as like cutesy like country pop type singer, and then she was like, "What if I pivoted to someone who just wanted to murder people?" Like, and for a few years, all her songs were like, "I'm gonna kill you." Like, what if I was just a psychopath? And like that was her songs for a few years. And then I don't know if you know she released an album a little while ago. I can't remember the name of the song. I think it's called is it Antihero or something like that?
I think that's the name, yeah.
And it's a song where she's finally like, maybe I'm the problem. Like, maybe I'm the monster. And it's kind of fascinating to watch someone who's close to our age. She's like 33. So she's
Oh
already had
yeah.
like this whole intense arc. Like, so it's like, what the fuck is next, you know? Like, and then
I
there's
don't
talks like
know.
she might become a director. She keeps trying to become an actress, and she just picks bad projects.
Hmm.
Like, every one of them seems to be dead on arrival, and it seems to be like that's more other people's fault than hers, right?
Yeah, that is fucking insane that she was in Cats though.
Yeah.
Like that is wow, what a choice. And
Um,
again, not her fault,
yeah.
but
Has she spoken
wow.
about that at all?
No, no one's spoken about that.
Yeah. And it is one of those things where, like, occasionally, like, I think the guy behind Gorillas, like, said some comment about her. Was like, well, she doesn't really write her own material, which I think just is factually untrue. I think she does write a lot of her own
She,
songs.
as far as I know, she does. Yeah,
Now she probably has a team, but hey,
yeah. Which
that's
is hey, people. That doesn't mean she's not
that's
talented. You
wouldn't
know.
be abnormal. I mean, Michael Jackson had teams, all those
Yeah,
people had
yeah.
teams.
Oh, be careful with that one.
Hey, nothing happened there. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm sorry to bring up a dead guy.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that.
But
Yep.
that guy, the Gorillas guy, got like really shit on for those comments. Like, and it's interesting to see how quick. I joked the other night, because they caused an earthquake, the Swifties.
Oh,
Somebody at the concert. I was like, if we can weaponize Swifties against global warming, we'd have that shit solved by next Tuesday.
oh
Like,
yeah.
like we could totally do it. So, far from me to tell Taylor what to do, but maybe make your next album about how important it is to save the Earth,
Yeah, yeah.
and things might turn around really quickly.
If she dropped the names and addresses of people responsible for upholding capitalism and allowing climate change to
Here's
continue,
the move. Here,
like
here's
stuff would get done.
she releases songs that are kind of like in her wheelhouse, right? Like they're all kind of just
Yeah.
like they're like the next Taylor Swift thing, but the titles of the songs are the names and addresses of these people. I'm
That
just
could
kidding,
be
Taylor.
something.
Taylor, I got some ideas.
Yeah, Taylor, hit us up after your
Taylor,
tour.
like sometimes there's like a whole thing about like celebrities, like they seem really approachable and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I'd love to have a drink with that celebrity. I feel like if Taylor Swift ever met me, she would be absolutely disgusted, like just by my physical presence. Like I could she just has that vibe that like she wouldn't have to know me to hate me.
She did
Like,
a director on director discussion with Martin McDonough.
oh, I did hear about that. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
she's pip. She might try directing. I think.
I
Like,
think she literally has something in the works. It's gonna be
yeah,
a while now because of the strike too. But check out that discussion. It's I thought Martin McDonough was gonna be carrying it, and
I think
it wasn't that at
I think it's
least.
just like casual sexism of our culture that we don't want to act like Taylor Swift can be a pop icon and also a smart person. Like
Yeah, yeah.
there's a reason why she's one of the most prominent, musicians. Like you need business savvy to do it. The ones that don't have it fade. Like
Hmm.
she knows what she's doing.
And hey, if anyone's seen her self-directed music videos, like she's not untalented. She's got something. Like some of it is like very like, oh, it's your first like visual metaphor thing. But
Yeah,
like whatever, everyone starts somewhere. Like she's got the goods. I think she can make a good movie. And I'm
yeah.
not just saying that because I got into her music right now. But um,
She
also,
cites
Ashley, if you're listening to this,
here's
I'm
something.
still waiting for that fucking playlist of her songs to listen to. So
Yeah, get them that playlist, and then maybe send
yeah,
it to me. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't fucking know.
yeah, there you
But
go.
Swift has cited Chloe Zhao, Greta Gerwig, Nora Ephron, Guillermo del Toro, John Cassavetes, and Noah Baumbach as her filmmaking influences.
The Cassavetes pull makes me
That's
respect her so much.
pretty good Cassavetes pull, but I will say one of those things is not like the other.
No, yeah.
Del Toro being in the middle there is kind of interesting.
It is. It super is. Oh my
What if she just
god,
made
yeah.
like a disgusting bug horror movie?
I know. She's like, oh, everyone thought I was gonna do like this epic romance drama, but I really wanted to make Mimic 4.
I will say, I like not to. She should do a genre film. Like that should be the thing.
Yeah.
Like, she don't try to conquer. I mean, who knows? Maybe she'll be amazing, but don't try to be John Cassavetes. Try to be fucking Guillermo del Toro. That's my
Yeah,
suggestion.
like what is this is the last thing and then we can start wrapping up. But what is your take on the Insidious franchise and Patrick Wilson?
I mean, I'm not against him directing it. You know,
Okay, because he directed the last one. I haven't seen it
I
yet.
haven't
I
seen it
heard it was
either.
very
It's got,
divisive.
yeah. And I'm always
Um,
like, genre's a good place to really cut your teeth. You know, like
yeah. And from my understanding, it's that no one thought he did a bad job directing it. It just wasn't like
mm,
Insidious. You know what I
yeah. But
mean?
the problem is the Insidious films have had like a really good track record so far. Like, and the first two are James Wan, right?
Yeah, the
Like,
first two are James Wan, and they're people forget those movies are literally psychotic.
mm.
Like they're very fucking strange movies. Like I'm really glad they were hits. I don't get how they were in hindsight, but I'm glad they were because they go fucking off the rails in the best way.
Fuck, we just answered the question from the start of this.
Did we?
Where the slow music came from? It was Insidious. Because that doesn't.
Oh, that's
Because
right.
the fucking Tiny Tim song, right? Like
Yeah, the
Tiptoe Through the
tulips.
Tulips.
Yeah.
That's where it started. It was Insidious. Was Patient Zero.
Oh, that's
Fucking
right.
close
Yeah.
that book.
Wow, that's pretty good. Good
Shit.
catch.
Fucking the furry shit and VTubers are still hanging, but at least we closed that loop.
Yeah. Anyways, Patrick Wilson apparently, he's moving to directing as well. But yeah, he just tried it out, and maybe horror's not his thing, but he's clearly gonna keep doing it, and I hope it works out.
That's
And
also been the move with
yeah,
like Krasinski directing two horror movies. You know, like
yeah.
and
But
I
that
think
was
it says
not his first movie though. People
it
forget
was
that.
not, but his other movies were terrible. No offense to the
Yep.
man,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
the Quiet Place movies are actually fairly well directed, and I think it says a lot that people came out of A Quiet Place complaining more about the plot inconsistencies than the actual visuals of it. So,
Yeah.
like, it's not
Yeah.
like a
No,
huge
I
triumph
think
of directing, but it got the job done.
yeah, and he's a sturdy craftsman at the
Yeah,
very least. Like he's got it. He should do more horror.
he's doing a
Don't do
fantasy.
action.
He's doing a fantasy film next.
Okay, that could be
So
something.
starring Ryan Reynolds, so we're fucked.
Oh, it's
But
over.
yeah,
Never mind.
yeah,
Sorry.
Ryan Reynolds report to the Hague.
No, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm getting a bad vibe from Ryan Reynolds lately.
No, anybody who has their own gin company, I get bad, or any alcohol company, I
Well,
get bad vibes
any
from.
company, frankly, especially a mobile phone company,
Yeah,
like there's something going on there. That's because he's very much positioned himself as the internet's friend, and then he just sells them products, and that I
yeah.
don't like that. You know.
Good thing he definitely didn't rewrite any lines on the set of Deadpool 3 while they were filming.
Oh boy.
I'm sure he definitely didn't do that.
I'm sure he definitely is in a scab.
Yeah,
That
not
thing is,
like they did that back in 2009 with the Wolverine Origins movie either.
yeah. Well, that movie has a whole
I
that
mean,
movie.
that movie is a fucking laundry list of shit that
Yeah, it says a
happened.
lot when like scab maybe doesn't even crack the top 10 things that went wrong with that fucking movie.
Yeah.
But that movie's the Deadpool 3 is definitely like stopped right now, like with the actors, right? Like now they can't.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
because even if like him and Hugh Jackman wanted to, God forbid, right? I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying that at all. I no knowledge of that, but everyone else would just not show up to work. So like,
I
it's
remember when
impossible.
Logan really closed the door really well on the Wolverine character,
Yeah,
but now he's in the yellow spandex finally.
yeah.
Sean Levy report to the Hague.
You know what? Sean Levy directed the shit out of this arc in Stranger Things. He gets the pass for me.
I know. Well,
He
he maybe gets a pass for me just because of Big Fat Liar. Like,
did he direct that?
yeah, he directed that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll give him that.
One of his. He started in like Disney Channel original movies and shit. Like,
You know what? That makes a fuck ton of
yeah.
sense.
And Big
That
Fat Liar.
explains so much.
I think Big Fat Liar is one of those ones where it was gonna be Disney Channel original, and then it ballooned into a feature film. Um,
Hmm.
and they got way overqualified people to work on it, and Sean Levy. Well, that movie, in retrospect, is now one of like the most depressing movies. Because Amanda Bynes is so good in it. Like
hmm
it is one of those where I just hope whatever happens, she's happy. You know, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know she's going through it. But she got a really really promising career ahead of hers.
hmm
Um, hey,
Yeah.
what are we doing
Uh,
now?
well, now
We're
I'm just gonna
Big Fat
mention.
Liar next week.
No, but I want to mention.
I
There's
mean,
one last thing to mention about Mimic, actually.
okay.
that
Oh,
there's a planned
yeah,
television reboot series.
yeah, by my nemesis.
Paul W.S. Anderson's your nemesis?
I hate that guy.
But, like, your nemesis? Because, like, Rob Marshall's my nemesis.
I think. Well, I have many nemesis. Like,
Okay.
I am against. I bet about half of Hollywood is on my shit list, but
Yeah, that
uh,
makes sense.
I've never liked Paul Thomas Anderson, and I'm sick of people acting like he's some
Paul
sort
Thomas.
of. Oh, did I say it? Fuck!
Yeah.
I did it. God damn it!
Ah,
I always do it. Fucking change your name first of all. Uh,
what's his name? What are you talking
let's
about?
call him Wes Anderson.
No, whoa.
He combined like two names. He's a fucking coward, is what he is. He knows what he's doing. He knows that he's trying to get confused for the other more talented Andersons. But yeah, he's never made a good movie.
No, that's
Uh,
not true.
he's a shit filmmaker, and he's a bad person. So fuck him.
A stunt person did get killed on his set, so,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
great.
yeah. Hey, what do you know? Let's not bicker and argue about what happened. But although I've heard people defend his Three Musketeers movie, including fucking Tarantino likes it apparently.
Really?
Yeah, it made like his top 10 of the year list one year. But literally, it's the only one of his besides like the later Resident Evils and Monster Hunter. Like it's one of the ones I haven't seen.
Hmm.
Um,
I liked Monster Hunter, but
I know you did,
yeah,
but
no, you're not going to. Oh, and I should also rectify something. That he did not get a stunt person killed, to my
oh yeah,
knowledge.
no,
But
like they lost an arm or something awful like
yeah,
that.
stunt woman Olivia Jackson lost her arm on Resident Evil: The Final Chapter.
Yeah. That being said, this mimic thing has been in the works since 2020. Who knows if that's even happening now?
Yeah.
And they'll probably get entirely untalented people to work on it. Everyone that acts on it will look like they're in a Gene commercial. It'll somehow go for 5 seasons, and it will leave no cultural impact. Anyway, how's
Hey,
the
but
Snowpiercer show doing?
if people can get paid, there are worse things in the world.
No,
Yeah, the Snowpiercer show got canceled. I think it's coming back on Tubi or something.
but it did somehow make it 3 seasons,
Yeah, that's a little wild.
even though it's objectively terrible.
I have not seen it, but I don't feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah, you're not.
Hmm.
Del Toro should do the Sand Kings movie.
But didn't he almost do it at one point?
There's that weird era where he's attached to like 1,000 movies.
I
So
mean, he's still attached to like 1,000 movies. To be
yeah,
fair.
he's not listed on the Wikipedia. Like it's still right now it's still the Gore Verbinski thing, but who knows if that's going to happen either. Um, wow, it's got the ebook cover art for Sand Kings. That's a pretty terrible cover. Ugh,
Bless you.
why did I try
Yes.
that?
I was like, damn, that's the bugs there. Del Toro was attached to Sand Kings before Mimic, actually.
Okay, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. You can tell he honestly kind of took some stuff from Sand Kings and put it in Mimic.
Hmm.
He would have been perfect. That
Yeah.
probably came down to it just would have been too expensive to do in the
Mm-hmm.
90s.
Yeah, versus $30 million for Mimic, which even back then wasn't that much.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, Del Toro is one of the few directors to have his own Wikipedia page for his unmade projects.
Which is
So
I love seeing it, but I also hate seeing it. Like
yeah, fucking, he almost did a Hulk TV show.
yeah, I mean he was attached to a lot for a while. It's a shame that
Mhm.
do you remember when they announced they were doing the Hellboy reboot instead of Hellboy 3?
I do remember that.
And who's the guy that's in it from Jeffrey Tambor?
Yeah,
Do you remember Jeffrey Tambor went like ape shit on Twitter after that announcement?
I do.
And he was like fucking calling Mike Mignola like a traitor and shit.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, real loyalty to Guillermo."
Yeah.
Like,
And
and like that guy's got hangups. We don't have to get into.
no, Jeffrey Tambor.
But
That's one of those things where it was like, is something up with Jeffrey Tambor? Like, I agree with him, but like, where'd that come from?
yeah, but
Like,
Del Toro's also a guy people get really defensive of. You know,
Yeah, I
like
know.
James Cameron almost beat the shit out of Harvey Weinstein
Yeah,
because of how he was treated.
I mean, but James Cameron feels like he's looking for an excuse to fight someone.
I mean, yes,
I'm
but
not saying he
again,
isn't loyal. I'm just saying
yeah.
that like he was like the moment like Del Toro would have been like, Harvey says like I have to drink like diet soda, and like fucking James Cameron would have beat the shit out of him. He's looking for an excuse.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
He almost did that Haunted Mansion movie with Ryan Gosling,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
that's relevant as of right now because of the one that just bombed.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest bombs of all time. It's made like fucking let me see.
Well, it's doing okay. It's got
$63 million.
a $150 million budget.
Yeah, but
Um,
it came out like 3 weeks ago.
yeah,
Dude, that's like
it's not good.
dude, that's bad.
It's not good. It's not Black Hat numbers though. Black Hat is like a huge bomb.
Well,
Like that's
Black Hat made like 10 million and it cost 70,
yeah.
right?
Black Hat like made nothing. So
Yeah, it made literally nothing. No,
yeah.
it made 19.7 million.
All right.
That's not good, but
But yeah. Well, that's not that should shock no one.
yeah.
How is Bob Iger justifying this shit? Like, I assume what he's doing right now is being like, well, that was the other guy greenlit all this stuff. Now that I'm back, I will get everything.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's
I
like, well, we're
assume,
going to take, like, just this morning, another statement came out where he was like, oh, we're going to take more time to reassess. We know some of our quality hasn't been up to par, and we're a lot of our stuff hasn't been like that well received. So we're going to make sure we put more effort into quality or whatever. And it's like, that doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
Like, this is
Well,
this
he's
is
yet to
the
prove
world he created.
He has yet to prove he understands what quality is and how to achieve it. So to
Yeah.
say I want to make more quality films means nothing.
Yeah, it's like, no, everyone wants to make a good movie, you idiot.
I guess
Fucking-
it still almost happened with Del Toro as soon as 2019. So he said he would like that he felt good about the script. But and then you can tell they took some of his elements because his whole thing was that he wanted to bring the Hatbox Ghost into the movie, which like that ghost has like a lot of lore to the Haunted Mansion,
Hmm.
and that's who Jared Leto plays in the movie, I believe. Do you know about the Hatbox Ghost?
I don't know about the Hatbox Ghost.
The story is like he's a ghost where the effect is he's holding a hat box, right?
Hmm.
And he's like he got like a sinister look on his face, and then his head disappears and appears in the hat box, right? Like that's the gag, right?
Hmm.
And he was only there for like opening day of the mansion, and then they took him out. And there used to be like this legend that he was too scary, and I think what it really was just the effect didn't work, right? Like that, but like there's all this lore around like the early Disneyland rides, right?
Hmm.
So like it's like oh what's going on? So like Del Toro wanted to bring him in, and then during that time they've re-added the Hatbox Ghost to the Haunted Mansion. Like now they can do that effect. So but he had like there's a lot of weird lore that apparently Del Toro knows a lot about because he styled one of the rooms in his monster house after the Haunted Mansion. So
that makes so much sense.
yeah, he's 100% that guy. It's so weird. He keeps like flirting with almost working with Disney. Like he was almost going to produce a ton of movies for them, and then it just never happens.
Yeah.
So like his
Maybe he's
Pinocchio was
like,
almost going to be made at Disney.
yeah, I remember that.
So
Instead, they had to get Robert Zemeckis, and that worked out really well for them.
yeah, who also did The Witches, which Del Toro wrote.
Hmm.
Again, I think there's like a weird feud between him and Zemeckis.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but
I'd believe it. We'll see. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, and then we'll see. If it happens again, it's like for sure a thing.
yeah, if one of them snakes a project from the other, then we know what's up.
Yeah.
Or that could just mean they're really close friends and like working together.
Or well, because they don't work with each other on the movies though. They just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
guess. Well, that's the thing is that Pinocchio is like two separate movies, so
yeah.
it's
And
yeah.
The Witches, like Del Toro wrote it and had it ready
I
to
was
go,
gonna
and
do
then
it, and
yeah, then it
um,
changed hands, and
good call, Warner Brothers.
I know, and now they deleted it from their service. Like, what a fucking nightmare!
That movie is one of the most like forgettable things I think I've ever seen.
Oh, sure, but it's still like
No, that's
don't
bad.
do
I'm
that.
not defending the deleting, but it is just one of those like no, like I'm surprised anyone even noticed, frankly.
Yeah.
um,
Anyways, that was Mimic.
Mimic,
You could
mimic,
you could
mimic your
mimic.
way down to your local DVD store and buy a copy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I would recommend it, especially if you're a Del Toro purist or like
yeah, if you're I mean,
completionist.
100% if you're a Del Toro fan. Like it,
Yeah.
even if it's his worst movie, it's still a good movie.
Yeah,
But
it is his worst, but you can see his DNA and like everything he's interested in,
mhm,
like now that you've seen the rest of his filmography.
mhm.
At the time, not so much, but even then, I don't think it's ever as bad as
And I
it's
will
been
defend this
called.
movie.
And
Like this will make like my year list of '97. You know, maybe not top 10, but it would be on the list. So.
I don't know about that for
I
me,
know you can't
but
follow
yeah,
me there, but like
no,
I'm just saying, as someone who's watched every shitty giant bug movie on the face of the earth, it's one of the better ones.
yeah.
So
The
like,
ending does kind of deflate it a little bit, I
yeah, the
guess.
ending. If they ever did restore that ending he was talking about, it would make it a lot better. But
Yeah,
you know, we can always imagine. And his commentary is just full of him talking about what he was going for, so it's worth it buying for just that. So
yeah. I will
uh,
listen to it.
yeah. Although Del Toro, have you ever listened to his commentaries?
Which one did I listen to? The Pacific Rim one, I think.
Yeah, he has a hysterical thing where almost like every other shot, he's like, "Now this shot was very important to me."
Yeah.
Like, always starts with that, and it's like literally every other scene is like the most important shot to him. So, God bless you, Del Toro.
Yeah. Yeah, what a guy.
What a guy.
Definitely one of my favorite directors, a personal hero. Like,
What's he doing
I'll watch
next?
anything he's done.
Oh, Frankenstein. I keep forgetting that he's finally doing Frankenstein.
Yeah, with fucking Andrew Garfield, Oscar Isaac, Mia Goth.
Yeah, with like like an actual cast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, looking forward to that. I'm
Yeah.
sure that'll be good. Uh,
Well, here, let me ask you this before we get off
mhm.
the horn. You don't think Mimic's his worst movie?
All right. Here's the thing. Like, look, you're gonna brush up against this because you don't really like Mimic, right? Like, I like Mimic. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
so when I say if I maybe put a movie lower than it, um, it's not an insult to that movie. You know,
Yeah.
I want to make that clear because like I maybe put Hellboy 2 lower. And I love Hellboy 2, but like I it's kind of similar. I feel similarly about it as I do with Mimic.
Okay.
But again, like don't take that as like an insult to that movie,
All
you
right.
know.
Wait, but does that mean you like the first Hellboy more?
Then Hellboy 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like
Whoa. I'm not upset. I've never heard that before.
there's some nostalgia tied up with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like no offense to the Golden Army, which is a movie I really like. I feel like there's like four stories going on in that movie that they don't totally mesh as well, but I like the four stories, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and a fucking inspired choice to have Seth MacFarlane voice the one guy.
Oh yeah. Why is that his best performance?
Seth MacFarlane is honestly one of those guys where I think he could be a good actor if he tried,
No,
but
yeah, he's clearly a talented guy.
he's
Like,
so rich now. Why would he take any role? Like
yeah.
it's not
He
it's not
was just doing like chorus vocals on some new song that came out like last year or something like that. And
really.
everyone was like, "Who is this?" And then they were like, "Oh my god, it's Seth MacFarlane."
Yeah, he's fine. Like
Yeah.
I think that it's weird. Family Guy has stayed on the air long enough, and now people are like, Family Guy's actually pretty good if you think about it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
weird to see that shift happen. So, but actually, you know what? When the Comic Con I was at was when he announced that Seth MacFarlane will be voicing that guy. So, someone asked him like who, like we know he's in it, but who's playing him? And he said like who was doing the body, but then he said like we came upon the idea to hire Seth MacFarlane to do the voice, and the whole audience laughed.
Well, hey, it worked out, so who cares?
Yeah, it did. It was a good choice.
Yeah.
I think he replaced an actual German guy though, which is kind of funny to think about.
Oh yeah, it's the guy who's a Nazi and everything, but he's also the ship captain in the Peter Jackson King Kong. I
Oh
think he was
yeah,
supposed to be the voice, and it just
okay.
wasn't working out
Yeah.
for a
Voices
reason.
can be tricky. So
Yeah, like everyone like says like, oh, like why'd they get a celebrity voice cast
you know
in
what?
this? And it's because everyone could immediately tell sometimes they're not equipped to do vocal work. It's different, you
You know
know.
what the mistake I think Hellboy 2 makes that I just don't like that element really at all.
Hmm.
I don't like the element of the world now knows who Hellboy is. which is like the first like 10 minutes of the movie are devoted to that, you know?
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't really seem to lead anywhere. Like Jimmy Kimmel makes fun of him on his late night show, but that's about it.
I really disagree. That is
Okay.
very clearly a movie about coming to terms with who you are and
No,
wanting the
no,
world to
it,
accept you.
it is, but like I think the showing myself to the world part, they didn't follow through with it enough.
I don't have time to
Is
defend
someone
Hellboy
is
2. We've
someone
been here for like 3 hours talking
is
about
someone
fucking Mimic.
messaging you on Discord?
Is someone messaging me on Discord?
Yes.
Not right now.
I am getting look, people have been messaging me on Discord. I do not know how Discord works. I do not see your messages. I get notifications that I've been sent a message. I see nothing. My thing is flashing. I don't know what that means. If you're trying to reach me over Discord, I try somewhere else. I do not know how it works.
I'm getting the hang of it. We're recording this over Discord instead of Zoom because Zoom's implementing their AI shit soon or whatever the fuck. So like this call that we're on, I don't really know how to end it, frankly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll just close the tab, I guess.
I have a disconnect button. Do you see a disconnect button?
Oh yeah, I do. There we go.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that in a moment. But if you're trying to message me, maybe it's on one of my pages. Um, I don't know. If you try to message me over Discord, I don't know how it works. I can't respond to you. Don't take it personally. Um, Especially if you tried to message me in the last 2 days when my power was out and I was going out of my fucking mind. But hey, yeah, Blue Sky is probably the place to be for now if you can get an invite on there, because Twitter's days are definitely numbered.
Yeah. Yeah. Links down to all your stuff and my stuff in the descriptions of these episodes, wherever you're listening to them or watching them. Matt, thanks so much for joining me. Guess what we're talking about next week, because I just did the random number roulette thing again.
What are we talking about next week?
Drum roll, please. It's the Chronicles of Riddick.
Hell yeah!
Yeah!
Chronicles. We're gonna chronicle that Riddick, all right.
What?
That is such a cable canon movie for me.
It is.
Can't wait.
I have stories about it.
I talked about how I've been buying DVDs mainly because I think the menus will be better than Blu-rays. Chronicles of Riddick, I bought the collector's edition for $5 on DVD at a store. For this retrospective.
Oh, fantastic!
And the guy was like, "Oh my god, I love Riddick." The guy behind the counter. The
People like those movies.
Store, who's always very nice to me.
People like those movies. Let's see if there's anything worth liking when revisit it.
Yep.
When we redick it. No, please. I was trying to combine revisit and Riddick into one word, and
it's
it was a disaster.
There's a third Riddick movie also.
Yeah, and there's going to be a fourth one.
All right, is there?
Yeah, 100%. Eventually, it took them like 10 years between Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick to get those made. So same deal.
All right, we will be talking the Chronicles of Riddick next time.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe.
Good start to the series so far, frankly.
I know. I'm worried about the downslope eventually, but
yeah,
we'll
but
see.
I think even the bad movies are at least interesting. So
yeah. I think we just wanted them to get crazier, and that didn't happen this year. But the movies, I think there's still shit to talk about.
I'll
be honest.
You know what?
I didn't think there'd be that much with Mimic, and look at this shit.
I'm gonna make sure now that I know that it gets under your skin so much. I'm gonna make sure to find stuff to bring up.
You don't have to.
Strange. If I sense the episode is going in a not so interesting direction, I'm just gonna throw some wild shit out there.
I feel like that's not necessary.
Should we do the Meg too? We did do the Meg.
I do want to see it. I know people are like really split on it right now.
I've heard nothing but bad things.
Oh, I've heard some defense, but like it's very minute in compared to like the outright rejection of it.
I've rewatched the Meg was on, and I rewatched it, and I totally forgot that fucking what's his fuck was in it, Dwight from The Office.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson.
I basically forgot that movie, and I think I put together the problem is that the fucking shark's just too big. Like
What do you-
it's not that compelling to watch. You know,
well,
like
do you know the hang-ups that people have with the new one?
not enough shark.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's like,
that's
well,
also
because
the problem with the
once,
first movie.
yeah,
Like,
and it's like, well, if you have the big shark, you can only kind of do that like for a section of the movie because it's too big.
well, yeah, I just think, but also, you know what's weird? Whenever these movies drop, people come out of the fucking woodwork to be like, the books are better, and I'm like, what the fuck happens in these books?
Yeah, I know.
Like, how is there that much of a passionate fan base for the books? So I might have to
I don't
check
know.
those out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I
The,
I would like to talk about the Meg too. We'll see what we can do.
one of the books is called Hell's Aquarium.
Oh, that's so fucking awesome.
That's a great title.
The director of the new one, Ben Wheatley, wants to do the sequel. He
I know.
wants to do
How did
another one.
Ben Wheatley end up in there? Like,
All right, so this is a whole thing. Then we have to end this episode because it's going
okay,
crazy long. But
okay,
Ben Wheatley, like, he started off like as an independent horror darling,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he's been very vocal about being like that. Like, he's interested in that stuff and he loves that, but he doesn't want to just do that. He's a guy who wants to do everything. Like, you look at his filmography, he's known as a horror guy, but it's like he's only done one horror movie in the last 10 years,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
came out 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, and
So like,
he tried. You know, he did a run where he was doing like High Rise has like horror elements to it. You could argue. There's Free Fire, which is like a black comedy.
yeah,
Like, he did that remake of Rebecca, which I never bothered to watch because
don't.
yeah, I heard it was bad.
It's just misfire for me.
Yeah, and then he did a horror movie a few years ago, which I also didn't see.
I like that one a lot.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
I just it was
yeah.
I was really like pro Ben Wheatley for a while because I loved Kill everything from Kill List to Free Fire. Like
Yeah.
I heard people were being really against Free Fire when it came out, and I still don't understand it. But
I don't know. I know High Rise was divisive as well, and I came out of that movie feeling like I had just lost my mind. You
yeah,
know, like that's my favorite of his. I
I think
love High
it's a
Rise.
Ballard adaptation, so like people got like expectations for that stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
but also it is strange source material, but
Yeah.
and he took an unconventional way to do it, but yeah, and then it's just like, and suddenly it's like, oh, he's doing the Meg too,
Yeah.
and it's
Like, you know what? I'm willing to bet the Meg 2 paycheck is probably more than every other movie he directed combined.
although if what we're hearing is true, where it's like it's not the shark isn't in it that much, maybe it's one of these things where like I'm gonna make this quote unquote horror movie to do other things I actually want to do.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Apparently it feels like three separate movies.
Hmm.
Like each act is like its own thing, basically. And I think people didn't respond well to that.
Maybe that's all he was really going for.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'd recommend In the Earth. You might like that one.
All right, I'll
Really
check
low budget again, but like it
Hey, I
was
love
made
that.
like yeah.
I, Diego, I just spent 3 hours defending Mimic. Like you don't have on a fucking horror movie. Like
That is fucking crazy.
Matt,
That
it
we went
looks
3 hours
really
on this.
cheap and it's low budget and the stakes aren't that high and it's kind of a basic story. Like and it's like those are not negatives to me.
No. This might be your shit. He's back in like Kill List, field in England territory.
The
with
list
it.
really is like that movie does rule. Like
Yeah.
people were very upset when I put that on.
Why? I
Well,
thought
'cause
people
that was
liked that one.
It's the fucking ending's a bit of a downer.
Oh, it is, but like, who cares?
Well, I put it on being like, hey, I heard this movie is good. I didn't know anything about it. So we were all kind of caught off guard. I was pleasantly surprised. Everyone else was horrified.
Oh, that's too bad.
But that happens, you know.
Yeah, Ben Wheatley, Guillermo del Toro, artists, movies, now less than ever, because they're not getting made right now.
Yeah. Well.
All right, see you next week.
See
You've
you
been
next
professionally
week.
unprofessional.
We'll get to talk about a movie that definitely will never get made again.
Oh God, no. Yeah, goodbye, Jonathan.
Sure,
Demme.
check it out though. I think we should just say maybe we should just like if a movie is worth watching, we should say it. So I would recommend watching Chronicles of Riddick if you're interested.
I would also recommend it, and that's the most
That's
I'll
all
say.
we're gonna say. But
All right.
we
Okay,
have to
take
pick
care.
one first, because some people don't know it's a sequel.
Oh yeah, you know what? You watch Pitch Black and then check that out, and then also watch Riddick after.
Yeah.
Maybe that gives away my take, but whatever. Just go watch them. Tip your waiters.
We have been
Be
professionally
nice.
unprofessional.
Oh, you did it.